Man, I'm excited about tonight, Eric. This is going to be
I,
awesome. It's
I
it's your
am
birthday
too.
eve.
It is my
So,
last day of being 30s.
golly, dude, you're so young. It's so awesome. Well, guys, welcome to episode 147 of the Drag Drive Repeat Show presented by Summit Racing. We got another first time guest on tonight. It's going to be kind of exciting. Mr. Brian Nutter is on tonight to talk about all things Summit and all things like who he is, how he got to where he's at, and all the kind of cool stuff. And I'm going to tell you some of the responses he sent to our guest email. Dude, it's going to be some great stories in here. We're also going to talk about like the Summit Pro Series and how they figure up all that stuff and what they have maybe coming we can sneak him out of and kind of how they do all that. So, I mean, they have blocks and cranks and rods and pistons. And he was saying earlier, I think in the email or maybe in the conversation before this, 300 plus cam shaft options. I mean, that's insane, right?
Yeah.
It's insane. And then, but before we get into all that, we're going to talk about Street Car Bragging Rights, Road Mayhem, Chaos Cruise, Circuit 2026, and all the cool stuff that Eric has planned for the first half of the show. It's going to be pretty awesome. So, if you will hit the intro, sir, we'll do this thing.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right, guys. Like I said, welcome to episode 147 of the Drag Drive Repeat Show. I hope you guys can see how wet my shirt is here. It's raining cats and dogs outside at my house. It's raining cats and dogs outside at Eric's house, and it's raining cats and dogs at Brian Nutter's. Well, I guess the Summit podcast room or the recording studio they have. There's probably a better statement for that. So it's going to be kind of interesting. I mean, if it really gets down with what the wife was saying, hey, it could get really bad out there. I may flicker over here. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Might be a cell phone night.
Yeah, I've got mine right here.
Jump on our cell phones instead of our PCs. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, if the power shuts off in this room, you won't see anything anyways. It won't matter. It'll be dark black in here. So, guys, my name's Mike Narks. I'm the host of the show you're watching tonight and the news that happens on Saturday mornings. And be thinking about who we can have as a guest host on because Eric is going to be doing fun stuff because, again, tomorrow is his birthday. And then happy birthday to your wife, too. Her birthday is Saturday or Sunday, something like that.
Saturday.
Yep, Saturday, yeah. So they're going to take the weekend off. He's not going to be in here talking to us. He's going to be talking to his wife. So happy birthday to her as well. And Mr. Eric, introduce yourself. Tell them what you got going on.
I am Eric White, co-host of the show and news. And again, everything artwork related, really, that's what's been going on. Tons of artwork, especially getting ready for the circuit, which we've got 15 days left. Whew. And some other stuff that's working on behind the scenes. Haven't really finalized that stuff, but once I get that finished, I'll be excited to release that as well. But yeah, lots of artwork.
Yeah, it's been awesome, man, and we're really into this last push. This is the 2 weeks for spectators. You guys are gonna see a lot of reels being dropped, a lot of fun stuff from the track being dropped around the circuit and all that stuff. Plus, this weekend is the Road Mayhem, which we're going to talk about in a second. So, we can't do any of that without our race car friends. So, guys, you know the deal. Hit the share button as we jump in here and kind of kick this show off. It's going to be another good one. And again, just thank you guys. I was not really that active yesterday because I had so much family stuff going on. It was great to get back in it today and have all the notifications of all the comments and shares and all that stuff. So we appreciate everybody doing that. And then, of course, our sponsors, if you guys are doing some shopping, we would love it if you would hit these guys up. Please, please, please. Summit Racing, of course, going to be on tonight. This is going to be a good one. I'm excited about this. Deechworks, of course, the official fuel delivery of Drag Drive Repeat, Molly Motorsports, best pistons in the game for sure. Driven Racing Oil. Look, if you don't keep your stuff going roundy round and it's doing its stuff and up and downs, that's what you need. You need Driven Racing Oil. They also have the degreaser like Eric featured last week that Rich Woodward was using. And of course, Howard's Cams, J-Wire Solutions, AFCO Racing Products, Performer Built Transmissions, Car Change 3D, and Low Dollar Motorsports. And then you can find us on PowerTube TV, and you can find cars and products and all that kind of cool stuff over on Racing Junk Classifieds. A lot of stuff there, and we'll let Brian Loans tell us about how awesome Summit Racing is.
What does it mean to be built with Summit? It means you're hitting the autocross, drag strip, road course, trail, dirt, or open road with confidence. Because built with Summit means you're using parts from the top names in performance, priced to make your project affordable, and it's all backed by trusted tech expertise and blazing fast shipping. Summit Racing Equipment. Let's build it together. SummitRacing.com.
Well, we're not going to go into just a ton of Summit Racing stuff tonight because we do have the second half of the show going to have Brian on. So get comfortable, get your favorite drink of choice, and let's enjoy this little bit here. We've got updates from around the community, of course. I'm excited to have him on. This is one of many project cars we're going to talk about. Also the Summit Pro line of stuff. But Pro LS is kind of these two dudes right here, kind of live and breathe that stuff as well. All right, sir. Let's talk about some Drag Drive Repeat updates. Mother Road Mayhem is this weekend, dude.
Yes.
Like I'm leaving here at like 6 a.m. on Sunday morning to go over and hang out with those guys. It's going to be awesome. I think we have 12 people signed up for the event, which is a little lighter than what I thought. But what's really cool is going to be the 400 other cool cars that are doing car show stuff are going to also be hanging out and going, what is this drag and drive thing? What is this going on? So I think it's going to be really fun and a great way to, one, people, shake down their car ahead of the circuit. And then two, kind of get in there and mix it up with a whole bunch of other car people as well. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it's going to be a ton of fun.
Yeah. And then, right here, this photo should be the screenshot of the thumbnail for next week's episode. I made it, but I didn't put it in here. So, or no, I haven't made it. Evan Yerkowitz, I need a photo of you, sir. Just some kind of selfie, man. That's why I found one finally of Nick Reinhardt. But next week we're going to have Brandon Dollar on of Low Dollar Motorsports right after his, we're going to say success at Street Car Bragging Rights. And then Nick Reinhardt and Evan Yerkowitz are going to be on talking about their Pro Street record run at Sick Week, and then kind of all the things that come along with all of the drag and drive stuff those guys have done. It's going to be pretty wild. I'm really interested in next week's show. It's going to be a ton of fun. I'm already making notes for it as well. And then this Saturday, the Eric White's blacked out there because he's not going to be here. So I'm looking for a guest co-host. If you guys are good color commentary, if you have a good internet connection, hit us up, let us know. I want to get somebody on here. Red Hat Scotty's kind of always been our go-to. Nothing against Scotty, I love you, Scotty, but I want somebody new. I want to learn and talk to them and stuff like that. The Saturday morning show happens at 10 a.m. Eastern, and then we run for about an hour. So should be pretty easy. And again, I'll handle all the notes and all the slides and all that stuff. I just need this guest co-host to color commentate. Oh, hey, Bucket List Mob in here already. Let's do it, Mike Heston. I'll send you a message. We'll try and lock that in. And Scotty says I have neither of those. Okay, we'll set it up with Mike Heston. We'll get that thing rolling for sure. What else? I think that's it. Also big shout out to our boy Brian that does our video editing and things like that. He bought a new motorcycle this week, dude. Bought a ZX4RR, man. I'm kind of excited about that for him. So already has it modified. Already put a muffler on it.
Nice.
I think it had 12 miles on it when he put a muffler on it. So
That's
sounds
awesome.
incredible. Yeah, I didn't get any video saved in here, but we'll have that for Saturday morning as well. So big shout out to him. He's living vicariously through us for sure.
Yeah. Well, give you a quick update. Obviously, I had showed the pictures about my engine being apart. So I stopped by the engine shop today after work and got a date to drop off the engine. So it is going to be there the week before I come down for the circuit, which is perfect timing because he said I'll have it for about a week. So basically, when I come back from the circuit, I should be able to pick it up. If everything is good, obviously he's going to hot tank it, get it cleaned up for me. He's going to magnaflux it, make sure there's no cracks in it. And if we're good to go, I'll pick it up and we'll be ready to start building.
Dude, that's awesome. So as you get all motivated from the circuit, you're going to go home and pick that motor up, that block up, and be like, oh, it's on.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And then after we did that, we went back, spent the day with Dad, who's in here watching, worked on the Nova a little bit today. We've been waiting for a rubber gasket is what we needed to put the gas tank in. And as we kicked off the show, he pulled up and delivered it. We were waiting all day for it. That was the only thing we need. And the car, for the first time, will be able to just go in and start by key. No gas tank sitting on the ground, no fuel hose stuck in there. So we'll be getting that wrapped up. New gas tank will be ready to go in, and then we're going to move on to brakes. So we'll have the go fast. We need to get the stops down, and then I think we'll be ready for a maiden voyage in that thing.
Is it right? Chad Witham here asking Vinny about a Mustang. I don't know anything about a Mustang, and I don't think Vinny does either. So pretty awesome, man. All right, well, dude, that's great news, man. That's so exciting. Your dad and I were in the comments in one of the videos the other day, I think, and he was like, the circuit 2027. Let's go. I'm in. You guys bring the Mustang and the Nova down. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. All right, well, we're gonna talk about some circuit stuff now, but we're also gonna dive deep a little bit later as well. So big shout out to our boy over at Revved Up Laser Custom Laser Works, Mr. Travis Wise, doing our trophies as we speak. Him and I were messaging earlier today. They look incredible, but I only have pictures of the U versus U presented by Car Chains, and I'm not going to show those yet. So you're gonna have to wait one more week, but that will hopefully get everybody riled up in that last weekend of work before their car gets put on a trailer or on the street to come down to the circuit. So gonna be awesome. So a drag and drive racer there taking care of us, of course. And then I didn't bring him with me. Dadgummit. I'm an idiot. I had him laying on my table, but I forgot to bring him out here with me. This one right here is our sheet for our sponsored decals. So when you come up, you can do this. Lainey Mackey, big shout out to her, another drag and drive racer as well. CNG Signs out of Colorado, did all of the hard work. She put all this stuff together for us for the racer and the road tripper decal sheets that'll be going out to everybody when they, pull up and get registered and, go out. They'll put these on their car, and then we'll go on and do some racing stuff. So it's gonna be kind of cool. I'm excited for those to be there. And then of course I want to go back to this because we have road trip spots available. We'll go into more detail in a future segment in the show here about how many and all that kind of cool stuff, but there are road trip spots available. We are running right down here to the wire, and I think what's going to happen is that people maybe they don't get their plan A car done. And if their plan B car isn't fast enough, they may go back to the road trip, which would open up spots for the racers to come up from road trip into the racer, into a racer spot as well. And so I have 4 spots that will be sent out here, hopefully after the show tonight. I've just been absolutely run over with everything, trying to get all the stuff together for all the events that we have coming up. So that email will go out tonight to see, we have 4 spots available. How many people does it take to get to 4 to fill those up? So I wanted to say one last thing. If you are changing classes, if you are changing cars, if you are changing co-pilots and need a different shirt size or something like that, please let us know ahead of time. It'll save a ton of time while we're registering. So, again, Thursday during VIP Tech, not that concerned with time. Obviously, it's not going to be that crazy, but when we're trying to tech and register 130 people on Friday morning, it could be pretty interesting trying to get everybody in with changes and all that kind of stuff. So if you know your stuff is different from when you registered for the circuit, please, please, please let us know now. You can just send us a quick message like James Young did the other day. I'm so heartbroken. He was going to bring a dune buggy. Now he's going to go back to the race truck and go to the 87 S10 that he is known for here at the circuit. And so, just simple changes like that. Keep us updated, please, please, please. All right, sir. Tell us about some driven racing oil stuff.
All right, let's hit this ad read and then we'll jump right in.
Hey, it's Brandon from Fort Smith, Arkansas here. Driven Racing Oil is a performance engine oil that can do it all. GP1 is the ultimate oil for any race or performance application. Whether launching hard at the drag strip, enduring the extreme heat of off-road and circle track, or pushing the limits in top-fueled drag boats and demo derbies, winning racers choose GP1. Compatible with engines from classic hot rods to cutting-edge race machines, GP1's unique surface cleaning and high zinc formulation ensures superior wear protection, particularly for flat tappet camshafts, while solving issues like cylinder washout with methanol and ethanol fuels. Crafted from the legendary Bradford, Pennsylvania base oil and enhanced with state-of-the-art additive packages, GP1 offers the best in protection and performance.
And you guys know DDR10 is your discount code for 10% off drivenracingoil.com. Whether that's oil, whether that's the degreaser, anything you need, DDR10 will get you that discount. So, Street Car Bragging Rights going on right now. We've got some more updates here in a little bit, but press release, it's time.
I loved that, dude. Loved it. That's incredible.
And obviously, the Driven team is there as well, so they are on site, which is awesome. So if you guys are there and need some Driven oil, make sure you swing by there and grab that stuff. So events, obviously, for the month of April, Street Car Bragging Rights going on right now. And I'm sad there's no stream, but I can't wait for all the updates.
Oh, it's going to be incredible. And I tell you, I think it's probably good. It's going to drive people to be there in 2027.
For sure. Redwood Rally Chaos Cruise, April 18th and 19th at Samoa Drag Strip. That is happening in 3 days this weekend. Going to be a ton of fun there as well. Mother Road Mayhem, obviously we talked about that. April 19th at Tulsa Raceway Park. That is in 4 days. Again, going to be a ton of fun. Look forward to seeing all the content that comes out of that. Carolina Drag Cruise, April 22nd through 26th at Shadyside Dragway. That is 7 days from today. And then, again, wrapping out the end of the month, April 30th through May 3rd, Tulsa Raceway Park. That is in 15 days.
Bring it on, man. I'm ready. I'm ready.
And then this was posted by the Redwood Rally Chaos Cruise. They said, unfortunately, we've seen some misinformation floating around. So trying to get the word out, they are allowing test and tune at Samoa Drag Strip on April 18th. You can show up just for test and tune and not participate in the Chaos Cruise. Non-Chaos Cruise participants will park in a designated area only and will be called to the lanes throughout our event. They will not be eligible for Chaos Cruise awards and prizes. And additionally, anyone can come to Samoa Drag Strip to spectate and meet the Disco Dean Stinky Pinky and get some autographs. So just
That's
figured
awesome.
They had posted that. So obviously help spread the word. And again, if you're in that area, why not go test and tune and hang out with the Redwood Rally folks there?
Well, and there was somebody that made a comment on one of our reels the other day that was like, man, I live in California. There's nothing by me. And I was like, man, what about Redwood Rally? And they were like, I didn't even know about it. So they're all excited. They were going to go sign up and do all that stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then jumping into our events for the month of May, we've got Mickey Thompson Turn and Burn coming up May 5th and 5th through 9th at Summit Motorsports Park. When I think of May, I think farther away. That's only 20 days away.
Dude, I was thinking May is sometime like in, should be 60 or 80 days from now.
Right. So that one kind of caught me by surprise. Back to the streets, May 20th through 24th at Bunker Hill. And where else?
Brown County, bro.
Brown County.
I was explaining this to my uncle yesterday. And George Ray's Wildcat Drag Strip in Paragould, Arkansas. He has been there. He has raced there. He knows how sketchy that place is. I was like, now take that and run grass down the middle of the lanes. And he was like, nope. He's like, I want to watch racing there, but I don't want to race there. So
Yeah, right. So Back to the Streets is in 35 days. Drop the Hammer, May 28th through 31st at Mid-Michigan Motorplex is 43 days away. And wrapping out the month of May, Six Speed Fest, May 28th through 30th at Beach Bend Raceway is also 43 days away.
And that's wild to think, like, we're less than a month and a half from the season absolutely blowing up. Like this, the Drop the Hammer and Speedfest weekend being the same weekend. That's one of the only times that happens, so far. We are obviously doing it with the Chaos Cruise, but after that, I think June is like completely packed. So it's just nuts to think that that's only, what would you say, 43 days away?
43 days away, yeah.
Oh,
Pretty wild.
Let the stress begin.
Yeah. So I believe we are at 51 events was what we had last time we had talked. So again, you can find all of those dragdriverepeat.com/event list-2026. So head over there and check out the interactive map and kind of see what's in and around you.
Yeah, the interactive map is as most updated as I can get it to cooperate with me. I'm continue to work on it when I have time, but it's got 46 of the 51 events. So like that's pretty close. But what I think a lot of people are using it for that. They're trying to show their friends where it's at. They're trying to show, the wife where they're going to be and all that kind of cool stuff. So kind of awesome.
Yep. So again, DDR10 is that code you can use at drivenracingoil.com and get a 10% discount. Or if you're at Bragging Rights, go over, stop and say hi and say Mike and Eric sent you over there.
Yeah, please do. I think Michael Neal is the guy that'll be working the truck this week.
Perfect. All right. Well, we'll jump into the J-Wire. Let me hit this video, and then we'll talk about some more event type stuff.
What's up, guys? My name is Cole from Fort Worth, Texas. Expert car and marine wiring solutions that you can trust. J-Wire Solutions can wire and plumb your hot rod, your race car, hell, even your drag and drive car. Plus, they offer products to make your driving experience way better, like their blinker module that is just a must for all drag and drive cars. This module will allow your rear turn signals to continue to function while the brake pedal is applied, just like stock. Find all the details at jwiresolutions.com.
And just before we jump in there, agree with you, Mama, so much. She said, so sad I can't come to the circuit race. That is, I'm heartbroken, but hey, we're doing it again in 2027. I'm already talking about stuff like that behind the scenes. So, all right, man. Tell us what's
Yeah, so no better way to kick off the J-Wire segment than some testing. So Mark Campbell, I had said this last week about how Mark and Brian should be one of those first 5 races, and Mark took that. So Jay and Brian are testing. So I don't know where you're at, Mark, but you better be out testing too. So on Sunday, they had posted that they made their way to Mid-Michigan Motorplex for opening day testing. Said it was nice to stretch the Nova's legs in their home state for the first time since October. We rode the struggle bus for some changes since sick week that moved us in the wrong direction a little bit. And then despite the rain, the team had the track working well. They lost the tire on one pass around 50 foot out. But aside from that, they managed to get down on all their other attempts, which is awesome. And then with the wind picking up, they opted to make their last pass an 8th mile, and a lot of the early incremental times fell right in line. They are optimistic that one more test session will be able to get things dialed in for the circuit in just a few weeks. So
that's awesome, man. Bring it on. Jay and I were messaging a little bit the other day, and he has begun to drop videos over on his YouTube channel. So please make sure you guys are going over there, watching those and commenting and all that kind of cool stuff. Dude, this race is going to be awesome. Like for them to be the 4th pair down, this could be pretty fun, and is going to set up a serious matchup. Lots of cars signed up in this street race power rider class that are going to be tight.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of fun.
And then next up, our boy Alex Robs went out to the Freedom Factory and took the burnout competition, killed it. I saw the video, and he was just out there annihilating tires on that. So pretty awesome to see. Yeah, photos are awesome. Trophy looks awesome. So big shout out to Alex and Holly and the whole Reps family there. This one was cool.
Yeah, big congratulations to them, man. That's awesome for what they've done with that car and how much they beat on that thing. It's that's 3 race cars they have. You know how hard that is?
Yes. I have 2, and I know having 3 is even harder. And Richard said Casey came in second, which is also cool.
Yeah, I love that dude, and he drives his Camaro all over the place. Casey Ladd, if you're not following him, please do. He drag and drives his burnout car.
Yeah, pretty sick. So, anyways, big shout out to those guys, and Street Car Bragging Rights. We're gonna talk about a bunch of stuff here, but this first thing I sent you the other day. I thought this was interesting. I had never really seen anything like this, but they have some on-track insurance coverage for drag racing, which I thought was really cool.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Quote and bond coverage in 2 minutes. Wow. Dang.
Yeah. And there's some prices down there at the bottom. I don't know if you can read it, but there's all the way from basically $100K limit up to $400K limit on insurance. So, and this is for one event. So obviously, it's probably a little pricey, but I mean, if you've got a $400,000 car and you're dropping $4,500 for the weekend to protect your car.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
Yeah. So this may be common, but not anything that I had seen before. So I thought it was kind of cool.
Agreed.
And then in Street Car Bragging Rights, so we had Jeremy Ortiz here, said he had the last few bits to load up, and then they were headed down. I don't remember what day this was. This was a couple days ago now, but headed down 11 hours to go compete and try to take home another W on one of the biggest events that he's competed in. Can't wait for this one again, Street Car Bragging Rights 2026.
Yeah, and if you guys will remember when Nate was on, he said like 500 plus race cars on site.
Yeah. And then the next person here, I put all these in here because I thought this was kind of cool. Obviously, Rich Dito has like the longest trip to get to Street Car Bragging Rights. So this photo was Sunday. He posted nothing but sunshine and bugs on the window somewhere in South Dakota. And then on Monday, he posted this one and said somewhere in Illinois, next stop at WAF Racing, green grass and open roads.
That's awesome.
And then yesterday he posted this one and said, let the games begin. Just tech today unless I pay for testing. First qualifier tomorrow night, which is tonight.
Man, dude, I hate that it's not live streamed.
Right.
I'd be watching that on the side screen.
Yeah. And then the final one here was Chuck Stefanski said all loaded up, heading down south for some testing at Darlington, and then heading to Rockingham for Street Car Bragging Rights. So,
man, bring it on, dude. Bring it on.
Yeah. And then just before the show, I had seen these came out. So this was as of 5 o'clock. I checked again just before we came on. There was nothing else posted. But current qualifying standings, Trevor Brandon in 4th in the DCT versus all-wheel drive.
Bring it on, dude. That is awesome.
And heavyweight, check this out. Alan Whitaker, number 1 by over a second.
Oh yeah, the 710 or something like that. ET,
yeah.
Like, golly.
Yeah, the 7-1. I can't see what it is, but
I think it's 06 or something like that.
Yeah, let me take a look here. It's 7-109 and 188 second.
Man, that's crazy.
So pretty wild. Alan Whitaker out there just tearing it up. And then we got Chris Atkinson in 6th, and we've got Felicia Smith in 11th currently.
Yeah, and then John Mayer, who has the O2 it says O2. It's like a General Lee themed Chevelle. Jay, if you're in here, tell us. I think it's.
I believe so.
Yeah, he's there in 8th place. So man, a great list of folks there.
Yeah, so there's 4 Dragon Drive drivers in the top 15.
Golly, that's nuts.
Yeah, so pretty cool to see for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Bring it on, man. I'm telling you, that's pretty wild.
So again, for those that aren't there, this is going to be our updates for the weekend. So be watching Braggin Rights on Facebook and see how everybody's doing.
Yeah. Yep. It's going to be cool, man.
Yep. 69 Chevelle blew a charge pipe coupler in Q1.
Oh, so
Dang
that car's come on.
Sweet. So again, appreciate J-Wire for being a part of the team. Obviously, you can check out those videos at J-Wire Solutions on YouTube. I saw the new video was posted this weekend, past weekend.
Mm-hmm. This weekend, yep.
So go check that out and go hit that subscribe button there. 35 subscribers. We need to get that number growing for Jay, especially if we want him to keep posting more videos, which we do.
Yeah, for sure. And another big shout out to our boy Brian. He's helping them guys get their stuff. Obviously Jay and those guys are recording the stuff. It's just Brian is helping put that together. So if you have a shop and you would like to get into some of that, holler at me. We can figure something out from there.
Oh, check it out. I'm up to 57 subs, and we just released another video about an hour ago. Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. Bring it on, man. That's exciting.
Love it. Love it. And thanks for the Braggin Rights updates. You bet.
Yeah, I may do that daily. I don't know. That's if I have time, because man, I feel like there's so much available for that. If it's not going to be live streamed, you're going to have to go dig around and find everything everywhere. Might as well be us giving folks that update. At least for our drag and drive racers.
Oh, for sure.
All right. Well, let's move to the Molly segment right here, and let's play the ad read. Sorry. Should have had that teed up.
You're good.
Looking for a forged piston kit for your vehicle? You need Molly Motorsport Power Pack. What is Power Pack? It's the ultimate forged piston kit that comes complete with pistons, performance file fit rings, hot string steel pins, and clips, all engineered to work together. So all you have to do is build something great. Find your Power Pack at mollymotorsport.com.
And listen, I am excited to get that engine back because I have some Molly pistons that are going in that 6.0 block, and I am excited.
Yeah,
literally,
I can't wait.
They are right below, not below my feet, but under this desk is where that box of Molly pistons is sitting right now.
Oh man, bring it on, dude. I can't wait. That thing's going to be awesome. We're going to have a ton of fun. You're going to tear up the streets of Illinois in that thing. It's going to be so cool. All right. Well, I want to talk about circuit updates during this Molly segment here. Some stuff I wanted to go over first. VIP Tech. There are still a few spots available for VIP Tech. That gets you in on Thursday, anytime between noon and 4 p.m. That will let you, tech early, get all that stuff out of the way so you can go racing that morning. There's 28 spots left there. So all of that, it's $50 to do the VIP Tech, and all of that money goes directly to the youth services of Tulsa. So if there's 28 spots, that means we have 72 people signed up for the VIP Tech, which means we're already donating. Are you ready for this? $3,600 because of VIP Tech right to the youth services of Tulsa. So it's pretty cool, man. I'm excited.
What did we donate last year? Because we need to surpass that.
So here we're going to raise what we're going to raise. It's hard to chase that, man. I've lived that for a long time. But last year we did raise $15,500. It was really weird. It's $15,555 last year. So if we can beat that, man, that's great. But as we have done in the past, we are doing it this year. We're doing $25 each ticket. Will go to them, as well as $50 for each VIP ticket. So I haven't figured out what all that is, but that's another, got to be another $5,000 or $6,000 there. And then you do the $3,000 there. So we're pretty close to 10 to start out with, say $8,500 to get started, to even start the event. So
we've got 5 first races to gamble on too.
Yeah, going to be awesome. So some things to update. I want to talk about who's returning champions, because this list is going to blow your mind. You ready for this? 11.0 Index by our friends over at AT Industries. Jan Haas is coming back. He's also in 11.0 Index. Can he repeat? 12.0 Index. Mr. Bo Denny, 12.0 Index by AT Industries as well. They did 3 classes this year. Bo Denny, he is coming back and is also in 12.0 Index. So if you want to rotate through these, you'll just run down through these classes these folks are signing up for.
Yeah, the 650 index, Scott Barker is going to be back again in that class.
Yeah, I'm
The,
excited about
the
that.
class that happened in a Buffalo Wild Wings restaurant at PRI in 2024.
I think it was before that because we've ran 2 years of 650 index.
Okay.
So it had to be 23, PRI 23. Big shout out to David Maxon and Red Hat Scotty and Keaton Maxon and Lance Drager. I mean, dude.
That was hilarious, to be honest.
They started peer pressuring me, and I was like, okay, if you want to sponsor it, let's do it. And now it's a staple of the event. So we appreciate them and all they do. All Motor Big Block by Howard's Cams. That class is open to win. Are you ready for this? David Miller's done put the nitrous on the car, and he's signed up for Gasser and Hot Rod. So that should be a pretty interesting class because there's some other fast cars in that class as well.
Bring it on. All Motors Small Block by WAF Racing is also another class that is open to win this year.
Yeah, that's going to be a great one. Can't wait for that. We've got Stick Shift by Jerry's Performance and Marine, Phil Balmaceda coming back on that. And I will say, Jerry was like, I always want to be the Stick Shift sponsor. He's like, from here on out, I want to do it because they love that stuff.
That's awesome. That's another one of our favorite classes. Small Tire by Shehan Performance and Fabrication. John Ketch, who was in the comments here a little bit ago, returning champion. So going to be the one to beat again.
And also first down the track. So that should be pretty fun, as he called out Mr. Eric Kuhn leading into the first race of the entire event. Like they will be, Jimmy will prep the track and they will race. It's going to be awesome. Yes. Next, Street Race Power Adder by Molly Motorsport, my favorite class. Mr. Brian Acton, 3-time defending champion, going to come in there and is the fourth race of the first bit of series there against Mark Campbell, who's another Street Race Power Adder class racer. It's going to be kind of awesome, man. I'm telling you, this is a good one.
It is going to be fun. Tailgate by Cornerstone Performance. This one is also open to win. David Bell is signed up for Small Tire, who was the winner last year, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and he's made a change because he's bringing a different car. He broke truck at Sick Week and then signed up with a different vehicle for the circuit 2026.
Yeah, so bring on all those tailgates. Somebody is going to be the new champion of that class.
Yeah, and last year we had in tailgate, it was quickest overall only. This year, because of our sponsorship from Cornerstone Performance Transmissions, we have quickest overall and most consistent. And then because Travis Wise is not only awesome by doing our trophies, but also awesome because he is a competitive racer. He wants to see who can take a top 4 shootout. So he's throwing 500 on a top 4 tailgate shootout. All out, not most consistent. It's the all out chip draw, top 4 trucks to end the day on Sunday. Should be pretty awesome. So $500 to that winner as well. So tailgate really, it's kicking butt right there.
Yeah.
Unlimited, another the third class sponsored by AT Industries. Mr. Jim Parkinson's coming back, and if you haven't seen his post, you need to go to that Tuned by JP or Jim Parkinson on Facebook. Big upgrades on the Camaro, so that should be a good one too. 2-time defending quickest 8th mile car that we've had. So with Kyle Beaumont coming, the upgrades for Jim, and then also the Eric Reisner call outs. This should be pretty interesting as well.
Yeah, for sure. Then U vs. U by Car Chains 3D. Tom Taylor coming back for that class again.
Yeah. Do you remember last year this dude won with a 0 deviation between his two passes? Yeah. So pretty incredible. He will not have that chance this time. We will be running on 6 passes this time. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see the changes.
Hey,
last year we only
do not jinx us. All right.
Hey, it is what it is, man. What I say right now ain't going to change nothing. I promise. I hope. Fingers crossed. Gasper Hot Rod class open to win. The champion from that class has moved to a different class.
And our last one here, Junior Street. This is our first time running this, so we are going to have our very first winner of this class crowned this year at the Circuit 2026.
Yeah, Going to be pretty awesome. I'm really ready for this. This is going to be fun. But as a reminder, my daughters are going over with me on Sunday because they have to get their NHRA Junior Street license. You need to have that done beforehand. We will help you get that as we go through the weekend. But to have the required passes for the Junior Street license, it's going to be really tough to try and make all of the licensing passes that you need on Friday so you can turn in a good slip.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. Okay.
Yeah, Red Hat Scotty, don't forget the $3,000 cheap car challenge as well.
Yeah, that's going to be a really fun one. Man, Casey Matthews has put together a great set of rules. This thing is going to be pretty interesting. And I think there's like 8 cars that are entered in this. I think we'll probably end up with like 6 total. And then I think some people are going to see how much fun this is on Thursday or Friday, and they're going to jump over in that cheap car challenge as well.
And one of my favorite vehicles from last year, Josh Rich, he's in for that unlimited trophy too.
Yeah, he has a truck that can do it too. That's we're going to see some very serious, very fast cars. Whoa.
He said this 98 millimeter Turbski will either go real fast or send the rods to the gods.
That's what we need, man. That's the kind of stuff we want to hear about right there.
Well, let's see if it's sending rods. I got to be there to get that photo so he can be the centerfold of Sick the Magazine again.
Yeah, and obviously we appreciate them and letting us or them featuring the circuit and featuring our racers out there. So we appreciate that as well. This will be our 3rd year to be featured in Sick the Magazine.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty awesome. Bring it on, right? Few things I just talked about a little bit. 28 spots left on VIP Tech. If you want to get in on that, that does allow you to tech and register on Thursday between 12 and 4. If you are going to be in town but don't think you can make that time, or just maybe it's not in the cards for you to do the VIP Tech right now, you can still come in, drop your truck and trailer off, and if you want to unload your hot rod and take it to dinner with us when we go to the racer pre-party, you're more than welcome to do that anytime during that little bit of window there. We'll be open 12 to 4. Kind of my plan for the gates is sometime around 11, we'll let people start kind of coming in. So don't get there at 9 o'clock in the morning. There's no reason to get there that early. I know people will be there early. Go do cool Route 66 stuff. Drag your hot rod around, do cool Route 66, or park outside the fence, unload your hot rod, and go drive it around for a couple hours. Because I know there will be people that message me at 9 a.m. Hey, can we go ahead and get in the track? No, can't get in the track. Just wait. Okay, just wait. Please. I'm on my way. I promise. What else in that spot? Races to watch. Tell us what you got. You're kind of kicking around some ideas here.
Street Race Power Adder. We keep talking about it because it's going to be awesome this year. Mark Campbell again in the SN95 Mustang, obviously 850 racer. Our returning champion, 3-time champion, Brian Acton, again, tough competitor there. TJ Linebaugh will be there in the, is it a Fairmont wagon, I believe? Yep. Light blue Fairmont wagon, another 850 car. So, again, this class this year is going to be super tight. So, super excited about that one.
Yeah, and there should be some others, some other racers that are in that mix, but I think currently they're signed up in other classes. So I've been trying to kind of worm my way through the list of racers and go do some research, make sure that stuff looks like it should be. They're not going to run away with the class and all that stuff. So it should be pretty interesting, man. I'm kind of pumped about this event. Again, 15 days from now, dude. 15 days. Stress. Woosah, Officer Mike. All right, let's talk about schedule because this is important as well. Thursday, this is a large view of Tulsa Raceway Park. Okay, there's a huge grass parking area over there. Use it for your tow rig parking. That way, whenever we get there on Friday, there's no question. So VIP Tech again. 12 to 4 will be VIP Tech. You can drop your truck and trailer off as late as 6 o'clock. I'll go ahead and leave that in, and then somebody's going to lock the gate up after that. VIP Tech will be handled somewhere in that middle. If you guys have ever been to Tulsa, there's a guard shack or what used to be a timing slip and a weigh station right there. We may set up in that area. We may set up in the pits. I really don't know yet. We're going to work on some of that. Camping is allowed on Thursday at the track. If you want to do that, you can go ahead and get with Robert Voss. He's going to kind of have an area put together and all that stuff. So 12 to 4, come down, hang out with us. Again, bring your truck and trailer. You don't have to sign up for VIP Tech or sign up when you get there, whatever. It doesn't matter. 6 to 9 p.m. racer pre-party. We are eating at a Mexican restaurant we ate at last year. Chicken or beef tacos, rice and beans, soda, tea, or water, whatever you want to drink there. I'm not buying your alcohol. You can buy your own alcohol. The hotels we were staying at are right behind the restaurant. So we are within walking distance. 400 feet, I think, is the furthest hotel there. So if you intend to have a couple adult beverages before the event starts, and do that with your dinner, they make amazing margaritas. But go ahead and park your hot rod over at the hotel, and let's walk back and forth. I think that'll be a little safer for us. And because you know how it gets. Margarita, I may do burnout. I don't know. I'm just saying. My truck's going to be over at the hotel. So that gets us through Thursday. Thursday is pretty easy. Again, we would love to have you. You don't have to show up to VIP Tech to come to the racer pre-party. Show up anytime before 9 p.m. at the racer pre-party, and we should be able to feed you with no question. I've set her up for 300 people. We've had 260 last year. So I think that can probably get us pretty close from there. And if not, she can make up 20 tacos or something like that. Friday morning, gates open at 8 a.m. at Tulsa Raceway Park, so we can get in and start getting ready. Tech will run as soon as we can get it going. Okay. So I can't say Tech is going to open at 8 because people will still be coming in, but there's going to be 120 plus people trying to get teched on Friday morning. The earlier you can get there, the better, or wait until close to noon and then show up. But the struggle is if you wait until later to get your car teched, you have a shorter window of time. Okay. To make your passes. We require 2 passes from each day's racing. So that could be pretty tough if you're not going to be there in time to do all that. So keep us updated. Sean and Matt Fling are our tech directors. Albert Short from Tulsa Raceway Park will be there as well. We will begin with a driver meeting at 10 a.m. and then we're going to race immediately following that. So our racers that are the first 5 racers, John Ketch versus Eric Kuhn, Red Hat Scotty versus Brett Marvel, Eric Reisner versus Jim Parkinson, Mark Campbell versus Brian Acton, Jack Crawford versus Chris Paget. Those guys, you need to be there early. You need to be set up and have your car ready to go by the driver meeting. I may even just have you park by the driver meeting and drive your car to the staging lanes to start the event. And then we just roll right into the burnout box. Again, as Eric said earlier, we're going to wager on this. It's going to be kind of fun. This is another way for us to raise money. Last year, I think we raised like $1,500 or something like that during this first race stuff. So it's going to be kind of awesome. The track, this will be the longest day for the track to be open. We are going to run the track, I think, until 4 o'clock. Yeah. We are going to have an open track until 4, unless there's nobody making passes. There's no reason for the track staff to sit there and wait us out. So they are going to run until 4 p.m. And then I'm still working on the route side. So I'm trying to figure out how I want to route through some of the small towns. I don't know if y'all saw, but Bristow, Oklahoma is on our way, and they just unveiled a completely renovated or updated Chrysler Plymouth sign that looks amazing. So I don't know if I want to route you guys by that on the way to Oklahoma City or on our way back. So I'm trying to work through kind of that. So that will come up. I'll drop that next week so we can be ready and people can be watching for it as well. So that gets us through Tulsa. We leave Tulsa. We have 150-ish miles, something like that. Ashley, what's up, lady? 150-ish miles to get to the track at Thunder Valley Raceway Park. You guys will know that 405 made that place famous. This is going to be kind of fun. Again, these pictures are posted up. This track, you are good to camp Friday night. I think they're even having an event Friday night. Gates are going to open at 9 a.m. I want to have another driver meeting here on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. as they open the track for passes. We may even do 9:45. So get there as early as you can. I want to do it because this track is different than what we're racing at Tulsa. I want to tell you about turnoffs. I want to, kind of lay out the pits and all that kind of stuff. So we will have a driver meeting, 9:45, 10 a.m. Racing will start immediately after that, and we're going to race until 4 o'clock. Then 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. We're going to have a blast. This, like, I don't think y'all understand how much fun go-karts are with a bunch of 15-year-old adults. Like,
Yeah. I was just talking about this at work today. How excited I am for this.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Big shout out to Deechworks. Love those people over there. They're amazing. They're going to be helping support staff. They have also sponsored this racer party. This thing is going to be crazy. 40 plus mile an hour go-karts. I don't know how we're going to do a final race, but somehow we're going to do like a 10 or 12 car final race. Maybe it's, I don't, put your name in a hat and draw it from, we'll draw names or something. I don't know. But 40 mile an hour go-karts are going to be a blast. We're going to bring in a bunch of pizzas, probably 70 or 80 pizzas like we did in Branson 2 years ago. And then we're going to have coolers full of soda and water and stuff like that. So there is a bonus after this. I don't even know if I want to get into this because we joked about this last year and then it didn't happen. But Tulsa Raceway Park is hosting a midnight drags back at Tulsa that night. So the Saturday night, if you fill up to it, drive on Friday, do your passes, come down to the racer party, make a couple laps. The racer party is a route stop. Okay. Don't get it messed up. You cannot skip this because if you skip it, you can't turn your slips in on Sunday. Okay. So it is a route stop. You do have to go there, get your picture taken, but drive back to Tulsa Raceway Park and hit up the midnight drags. They're going to run some heads up classes and all that kind of stuff. So it should be pretty wild.
That is way too much driving.
Dude, insane. We get back to Tulsa Raceway Park on Sunday. Of course, as you guys can see here, we're going to put the road trippers up front. We're going to have them in special parking the whole time. Racer pits, we're going to have camping all set up and everything like that. Racing will not start until 11 a.m., but the gates are going to open at 9. I think is what I have here, right? No, gates will open at 10. Racing starts at 11. We'll probably, that is very up in the air. If they have ran the midnights until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, the track will be ready. The track staff will just go get a quick nap, come back and get the track going. So racing may start at 10:30. I don't know, but we're going to kind of run it until about 3. And then our plan will be to kick off the awards as soon as we possibly can from there to get everybody on their way home. So big shout out to Molly Motorsport for hosting the awards ceremony. We appreciate them. And again, if you guys need any questions, if you have anything you don't understand, message me, message Eric, message the Drag Driver Pete page, message the circuit page. Speaking of that, I didn't check the circuit page for messages today, so I'm sorry if you have a message over there and I haven't looked at it yet. There's a lot going on right now. So just message me or Eric, please. That's the best way to get those seen the quickest. So,
right.
Dude, are you ready? 15 days, man.
Man, I am ready. I just got to figure out how I'm getting there now.
Right. Yeah. Eric said he hadn't even bought a plane ticket, but that's not abnormal for anything we do. Last bit here about the circuit. Love's Travel Stop Camp Counselor. This is kind of exciting. I love this. This came together last week. We talked a little bit, but I want to recap. Robert Voss, Camp Counselor Bob, is going to be handling this and the road trip setup stuff for us, which is basically getting everybody kind of in the same spots. Thursday night, we are good to camp at Tulsa Raceway Park. Friday night, we are good to camp at Thunder Valley Raceway Park. Saturday night, we are good to camp at Oklahoma Motorsports Complex, which is the go-kart track, unless you want to come back and do the Tulsa Legendary Midnight Drags, and then you would just camp there at Tulsa as well. Saturday night, you can camp at your trailer, but don't cheat. You jerks. Don't ruin it for everybody. So treat it like a hotel room, treat it like you've treated all the weekend. But if you want to go back to Tulsa on Saturday night, I'll allow you to sleep in your trailer. So don't mess it up. Okay. I don't want to hear about a bunch of, because here's the thing, like if you stay in your trailer on Saturday night and you leave stuff in your trailer and just cruise down to the pits from your trailer, you are disqualified. There is no question. I'm not going to play any of that. It was right up there. Oh man, that's where I decided to pit. You will need to pit in the regular pit area, not by your tow rig and trailer. I'll make a big post about that and then share it 27 times between now and then. Okay, dude, are you tired of me talking?
And we'll cover it again during the drivers meeting.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm already making notes for it too. So Yeah, going to be awesome. Again, big shout out to Molly. Those guys are coming out. Adam is coming out all the way from North Carolina. He's driving out to set up and hang out with us. And it is always fun to have that dude around. And of course, Molly isn't just a sponsor. They're also a drag and drive bunch of racers with George's 700 plus horsepower Duster. And of course, Eric Grillo's Nova. If you guys have followed for a while, you know Eric White and I are huge Nova fans. This car's a 10-second stick shift. Drive it anywhere. No, it's kind of my jam. So anyways,
everything we like combined in one package. Stick shift, Nova.
Yeah. All the stuff. I would put a turbo on it, but that's just me. He likes naturally aspirated stuff. That's fine. Whatever he's into, it's his car. All right, sir. Let's thank these folks and let's bring in Mr. Brian Nutter from Summit.
All right. Appreciate all of our race car friends in here so far, halfway through the show. And you're going to stop hearing us talk, and we're going to talk to Brian Nutter for the next hour at least. And there's going to be some good stuff. So be sure to stick around. Again, appreciate everybody that's been in here making comments so far. And again, can't wait to see our race car friends in 15 days at the circuit. And of course, man, we can't do this without this great group that you see right here on the screen. Summit Racing Equipment, Deechworks, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Howard's Cam, J-Wire Solution, AFCO Racing Products, Performabuilt Transmissions, Car Chains 3D, Low Dollar Motorsports, Power Tube TV, and Racing Junk.
For sure. Richard Brewer says you should just drive to his house and ride down with him. We had actually discussed that a little bit.
Yeah, except for I believe, and I don't think I've said this yet, but I believe the wife and kid are also going to come down and hang out for the first time with us at the circuit. So we're going to be traveling together.
Yeah. And I'm kind of excited to see that, but then also you do that with three folks, it becomes very difficult. And to keep the amount of vacation time you need to hit the events you got on your schedule, we probably need you to fly because you can kind of maneuver around some times and, less time off from work.
Yeah. I had this conversation at work today, and this will be quick. We are April 15th. And tomorrow will be my first vacation day of the year that I've taken. I don't know if there's anybody else on my team that hasn't taken a day off yet, but wow. You guys don't understand. I got to save these days.
Yeah. You only get a few weeks, and that we've got every minute of it tied up. So,
yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I'll read this ad read here, and then we'll bring in Brian and start this conversation. Performabuilt is the official transmission builder of Drag Drive Repeat. At Performabuilt Transmissions, their goal is to engineer and build the toughest transmissions on the planet. Performabuilt doesn't just rebuild transmissions, they systematically re-engineer each model to eliminate OEM flaws and to achieve the highest levels of performance. That is why they say their transmissions are not just built, they are Performabuilt.
For sure. Real quick, just back on the last topic we were on. Yes, the Dustin Cottle says there might mention downloading the Outticks Live app. I will go over that in an email, as well as we'll talk about here just real quick for Tulsa Raceway Park. We now have a system that you need to sign up racer registration. I'll send all the links in the emails for the circuit racers and all that kind of stuff. Great point. I should have put that in the last bit of notes, but we will be covering that as we lead up into the next few days. All right. You ready?
I am ready.
Let's do it. All right, Mr. Brian Nutter, let's get you set up here. We're in the big screen because I'm excited about this. This is going to be kind of fun. I want to knock out this first segment is about you, which is going to be tough because you have one of the coolest jobs I think that maybe we've had on here in the past. So, but we got to know about you. We got to figure out how you got there. So tell us who you are.
Yeah. Hey, thank you for having me on. This is always just such a awesome opportunity to get to talk to folks. And then I've been watching your show this entire time from the background and looking at all your sponsors. You guys got some really quality sponsors for your show.
We appreciate you seeing that.
Well, it's like I know like 80% of those guys we carry, and the other ones I have no doubt are really quality people. So, shout out for those guys for trying to help out and support the racers as well.
Well, we
Absolutely.
appreciate that. And one of the fun things that we've always talked about is like, how can we bring sponsors on? And it's not like, it's just this conversation we're going to have tonight is how do we, one, help their business get more notoriety and out there and in the public, but then two, like, man, you guys are so smart. How do we teach the community about all this stuff? You know, like Low Dollar Motorsports is our newest one. And
Yes, Brandon
all of
over
this
there.
stuff. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's incredible how smart that
He
guy is.
lives it.
He's on
He
next week. Oh yeah.
lives it. All right. You know, and it's like guys like Brandon where, you know, he lives it. He's on the leading edge of relevancy with the racers because he experiences it. He knows their problems, kind of the same as me, right? It's like you just get to the root of the problems and you figure out a solution and you offer it. And, you know, he's in it to win it.
That's exactly right. Well, he's on next week, and I'm really pumped because
Cool.
the phone call that him and I had that set all of his sponsorship up was, you know, he is a entrepreneur through and through, and then to take what was basically just a hobby, he was in the right place for what his mind needed. You know, he's an engineering guy and ended up taking stuff that was working for another completely different application and then you know, making it work with cars and
Those are the
saving
best.
people a ton of money.
Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah, so I do product development for Summit Racing, and I've been doing this since 2018. Prior to that, my first foray, or I guess, or whatever you want to call it, is I worked for Wiseco Piston from 99 through 2015. So
Oh, wow.
all my friends over there, you know, are an hour north of me. So, you know, Vic Ellinger, who you guys know a lot of these guys, you know, that race and people that are my coworkers from the past, you know, I still associate with them and talk with them nearly daily in some cases. And then prior to that was a couple really great engine builders. Prior to that was really growing up in Kearney, Nebraska. You know, there was circle track racing, there was some drag racing out there, but it wasn't like drag race central. And I ended up essentially going into the Air Force, right, for 4 years to try to, like, you know, gain some experience, get some money, you know, GI Bill and all that. And I found Judson Massengill at the School of Automotive Machinists in Houston. And like so many young men and many people that have graduated to the top of race engine building today, they got their start down there in Houston at the school. And then, you know, CJ Batten up in Michigan, Scott Shafroff over on Long Island. And that was like 97, 98. And then Wiseco happened in 99. Wow. And there through 2015. And then a brief stint with Kyle and Stacy over at Detroit Speed shortly before they sold that company. And then Al Noe, of course, with Summit. You know, he's like, hey, why don't you come over here and do your thing with Summit? And I'm like, ooh, this could be kind of fun, right?
Yeah.
So
wow.
I've been here ever since.
That's awesome. That will, man, so we're going to talk about that in a minute. I want to talk about, like, cause I want to talk the jobs you've had there, right? Like, cause that's pretty neat to me, but, what is a guy that does what you do? What do you daily drive, dude? Like, what are you in and out of every day?
All right. So because I've learned so many lessons in life, and one of them is my daily driver should probably be Hondas. So I've got like 3 Hondas in my family. My son drives my dilapidated, $250,000 Acura TL, hand me down. I got a 22 TLX Type S that went to Bonneville. My son and I drove it to Bonneville this summer, went 170 out there with a tune, drove it all the way back, like 2 days, power drive across the United States, made it back for Summit Autocross week, and ran that for the rest of that week, just piled miles on my car. And it was an adventure, but yeah, that's the daily at least.
That's awesome. How fun. Wow. That's how many miles is that to crush in 2 days?
It's well, you guys live this stuff, right? So
Yeah.
it was like we drove all the way out there, and my son's 22. Like, I could drive 20 hours, I think, when I was a kid, and he just did it. So, I mean, dad starts getting tired. I made it most of the way out there myself, actually, until we got to Wyoming, and then he took over for a bit, and then I was back in it. And then on the way back, I was just cooked, so he took over because he had to be at his job, which is, that was great. He took off a week and he wasn't able to do autocross week, but then I had taken off that next week too to go run it. And luckily that was centered around Ohio.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, autocross week is, that's technically work. It's like Summit Racing Autocross Week,
It's a great place to work, right?
With you guys. Yeah, they don't play like that with you guys. We talked to Tommy and Jim at Drag Week, and those guys are usually on vacation,
No, it's fun. And, the Bonneville thing was fun too at the ECTA. So I do some land speed stuff with the East Coast Timing Association. And that is Steve Strupp over there, who
that's awesome.
Kind of like you. He really enables people to like live out their dreams as a big racer, right? And go fast and, just have those moments that we all hope to have. And he facilitates that for a lot of people. In Bonneville, this event out of Bonneville was the first time they allowed street cars essentially to go out there. Anything.
Oh, wow.
Here's what's interesting. 2009 and newer, they have really good glass. They have rollover structures that are twice as stiff as anything prior. They've got side airbags. So the cars, honestly are so safe. I'm going to say you don't need safety stuff. It's always good to have safety stuff, but the cars are really well built. And, there was, 15 or 20 of us just out there pounding, down out there on Corvettes with street tires. This is the first time where these cars aren't laden down with 5,000 pounds of lead. It's guys out there with 315s and 335 street tires doing 211 in one case.
Wow.
Just laying it down on the salt, and it wasn't prepped. It wasn't like, Speed Week where it was just smooth. Mm-hmm. It was a little bumpy. And I one of the old timers out there, he goes, it's called land speed racing for a reason, because you're driving over the land. And I was just like, wow. Yeah. And then my son, and the other, sorry, I got to tell you.
Yeah.
I'm sitting over here in the passenger seat. My son's driving 168, 169 miles an hour, and he's 22. And I'm just like, whoa,
that's cool.
How cool, man. Yeah. So it was just a great summer.
How fun.
Awesome. Just as a forewarning, the weather sirens are going off here, so the storm is probably about to hit. So hopefully nice. I don't disappear, but if it does, that's what happened. But
we're praying for you, man.
Yeah, buddy.
We'll keep rolling until then. So tell us about what kind of project cars you have currently.
So, and this is another thing that I learned from my customers. I think it was in the early 2000s. I talked to a guy, his name was Johnny. I don't remember his last name, but he owned like 6 Corvettes. And I said, man, do you have any regrets? And he goes, if I'd put the time and effort into that first race car that I did the next 5, my first race car would have been faster. So I had a 93 Vet for a little while, and I bought like literally the rattiest example available in the United States at the time. And it was a train wreck. All my friends, I ended up chopping the top off the car, but that's another story. I ended up getting a 2002 C5 Z06 back in 2010. And that's been my baby, just that's reinventing awesome. It, did Holly LS Fest. And that got me into the Optima with Jimmy Day and that crew over there. Again, a guy that is, helping people, live their dreams on a racetrack, right? So there was, that experience, going out to, Vegas, out there, Pahrump, Nevada, to go run that thing. And then after that was more land speed racing. And then it kind of like probably a lot of us, we end up going a little bit faster, and then we break something. And then the one, well, there's a lot of nice things about working at Summit, but employee pricing on parts is a really key part of my existence, because without this company here, I couldn't afford to do what I'm doing, because I break stuff and have to get it put back together again. And then what's another kind of cool thing is, it's like, if we don't have it, I invent it, right?
Right.
Wow.
So it's like, this happens all the time. I'm like, why don't we have this? So I'm in a position right now. I got tons of great partners all over the place. But yeah, so that car is right now, it's over at Eric Johnson's place over in Medina, Ohio. He owns a company called Backstreet Performance, where he does road race, tuning, chassis dyno, race prep, all sorts of stuff. So the car's over there right now getting the spherical ball joints everywhere in the suspension. A friend of mine helped out with some suspension parts. Ryan Matthews over with After Dark. And so we're taking the suspension to the next level. And then I've got it's an LS7 based engine that's ran perfectly fine until I took it apart because I needed more power. So the heads are being worked right now, and it's going to get one of my cams. Weirdly, I did not have the cam I wanted for it, so I invented that too, right? And it's just fun like that. I figure if there's like one of us, there's got to be like 100 of us, and that sells enough, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You've got to have the coolest job, but I tell you, if they did payroll deduction for Summit, I would probably be working for free because I'd just spend all my money back in the company.
You know, it's been a great relationship. You know, and it's a two-way street. You know, I do what I do, and they respect that, and they've given me a place to fly. You know, with these ideas of mine, I did pistons for the first 15, 16 years of my existence, right? I created some really great parts over with the folks over at Wiseco, but it was pistons. But at the same time, I got to know the crank guys and the rod guys and the head guys and the cam guys, and that really gave me the foothold that I needed to do my job today, you know, to create more parts, because I know quite a bit about a lot of stuff, but I'm not the super duper expert about a lot of stuff either. But luckily, I've got a lot of people in the industry that help me out. You guys, anybody watching, you guys know who you are, you know, that make me look good, right? And awesome. It's fun, you know, getting to use all these industry contacts that we've cultivated, you know, over the last 27, 28 years professionally. Yeah.
That's so cool to have done that long. You know what I mean? To be involved in that level of cool stuff for that long.
Yeah. You know, it's been great to raise customers up too. I was in a really interesting position when I left the School of Automotive Machinists. I worked there at the same time. I was what they called the director of admissions. So I was admitting some students, you know, to the school, you know, guys coming in, right? So, you know, Pecos from LME, Eric Koenig, you know, he's another one of my guys. Dave Localio, another one of my guys. And there are hundreds and thousands of these guys that were going through the school when I was there. I was at Wiseco. They were coming up as engine builders. So I latched onto them, and they latched onto me, and we helped them launch their businesses, you know?
Yeah.
And that education side of things has stuck with me ever since the school, because I was also teaching a bit there. Nothing big, just like an orientation class, but that was actually what I ended up doing for the first year. I joined Summit Racing in 2016, late 2015, we were not super well versed in LS. I know it sounds crazy, but we weren't that good at it. So I wrote a ton of spec guides and articles, and a lot of those are referenceable here out on the internet today. Cool. But that helps people on the outside, that helps people internally, you know, so that they knew what fit together. That's always key, so you don't get customers getting parts from the same company that don't fit, right?
No.
So the education's always been key.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's this? So is this a 944, right?
Yeah. So this is funny. You know, I've been dragging my son. He's 22 now. His name is Van Nutter, named after my grandpa, actually. Nice. And yeah, I've dragged him around to racetracks since birth, and he didn't really latch on to it. He was 16 and 17, and he wasn't really into it. And I wasn't really pushing him into it, because I used to have this saying that as soon as my son starts racing, my racing days are over, because I'm going to have to focus. As you guys know, that's not true. You get to do it with them, you know, which is even better. So now we're joining efforts together out there in the garage. You know, he's like, Dad, I want to build a car. And I'm like, well, what do you want to build? And he goes, well, it's got to be LS powered. But I kind of wanted to do a little bit of everything. And he found a 83 944 on Facebook Marketplace for $2,500, as they all are, right? Yeah. And he's like, hey, you want to go take a look at this thing with me? And I'm like, yeah. bring your money. He goes, what? I'm like, bring your money. So he brought his money and we bought it. And then we drug it home, and he gets used to, having the car on a flatbed, right? So he's getting to be good friends with the tow truck drivers by now. And then he found a $500 L33 on Facebook Marketplace. So we stock bottom end, took the heads down to TEA, and they went through them for $850. Did a nice job, just freshening the heads, some good valve springs on it, and put it back together. Traded some work with another coworker for an intake, an LS6 intake. So it's going, one of my cams. Actually, this is funny. This is actually a hand-me-down, and it's not a Brian Nutter cam. It's actually a Jeff from Engine Power Systems, EPS. It's a cam that I had in my Corvette back in 2010.
Wow.
Yeah, just a great cam. So I was able to hand it down to my son. And yeah, we were planning on getting that thing out to Bonneville. And as you guys know, the thrash, right? It was, we got it running, all parts from Summit. This feels really great. And then the windows don't roll down, right? It's got power windows. And that's kind of a problem because we ripped out the AC like first thing, right? And we were like, my son's, he's great. He's like, oh, sunroof still works, right? I'm like, son, we're going to be driving, in July, out to Bonneville, and it's 120 plus on the salt, but okay, like we could still do this. And so neither of us we were kind of like looking to each other, like to kind of let us off the hook. And then the car let us off the hook because the first time he goes to hit the clutch pedal, oil all over the floor. And it's like, oh, well, yeah, clutch slaves, and in that car, it's a transaxle car. So everything has to get drugged back out, but it kind of gave us the excuse. Oh, yeah.
That's brutal.
Yeah. Well, but what a great experience for him to have that thrash and to try to get ready for a race and to face adversity and then to get through it. Those are the best lessons, right?
I think that's a typical week of drag and drive.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you guys are doing this thing, right? And it's these experiences. It's not how fast you go. It's having these experiences and things and people you meet along the way.
Well, no less than a 944 is right up our alley, so I love it.
Yeah,
well, I think the balance of that car is perfect for that too.
It is, and so he wasn't shy about cutting it apart. I got another story on cutting cars apart, but because it's kind of how I started going fast. Like we all have, we didn't have any money to buy go fast parts, so instead we just gutted it, right?
Yeah,
right. Yep. So we've got Summit Employee Drag Day on the 14th of next month. It's on a Thursday, so a ton of people at Summit Racing take off and head out to the strip, and then we just go run. And I challenged them to go get the car ready for that event. So we'll see.
How fun.
Put them on notice, right? We got to get it to the track here in a month.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, walk us back a little bit. I love this question. Is 11-year-old Brian, is he a car guy?
Yeah. Yeah. It was, this is a weird question. Like I hadn't been posed this question before, because my dad, he like everybody did in the 70s and the 80s, we changed our own oil, we did our batteries. I remember him doing timing chains and stuff like that. But so like he could do some stuff. But when I was 16, I had a 68 Ford Ranchero, and he also painted cars, right? So he knew how to do some stuff, but at the same time, I go to try to make my 68 Ranchero faster, and I put the timing gun on the thing, and the timing was 0. I'm like, that ain't right. So I put, 12, 13, whatever it was in there. And then my dad feels like it's a little bit peppier, right? So he comes out and he puts a timing gun on the thing. He's like, oh my God, you're going to blow up the engine. And I had to present to him the factory manual, like, no, Dad, this is how it's supposed to be. So I don't know how many decades my family's cars ran around with 0 degrees initial timing, but that was,
oh man.
Yeah, that's okay. Now
you're like, no, Mom, look, if you just turn this thing just a little bit, it'll give you more performance. She's like, I need more performance. I just need to get to the grocery store.
So here's the other thing. I grew up with magazines, right? So again, Kearney, Nebraska, there were a few very notable racers out of Kearney, Nebraska, in the 80s. I'm still friends with a lot of them. And at the same time, it was hot rod and car craft and popular hot rodding. And it was the tech articles written by all the golden greats of automotive writing, the Dave Emanuels of the world that wrote all these great books and articles. And I inherited 3 boxes of magazines going all the way back into the 60s. And I memorized those things, just read them backwards and forwards. So that's how I got my start. And I decided I wanted to go racing like we all do, right? But I ended up like, how do I get into racing? So again, the U.S. Air Force was, I'm not saying it's a placeholder. I'm super glad I did it. But it wasn't the love of my life, right? So 4 years of that, and I found Judd down there at the school, and then he turned it into practical knowledge there for me over that next year and a half with learning the art of machining. And we got access to the dyno and the flow bench, and he let us break a lot of stuff, and he rode us hard, man. Like he fixed you in a lot of ways. Yeah, it was a very special time.
How cool.
Well, let's go into a high level of your car history. What's a few of the cool cars that you've owned over the years?
All right. So we talked about this a little bit. I was trying to dig up that list because it's been like 30 plus cars. And
wow.
It's not that I'm a rich man. I'm far from it. I bought everything at the low, and it probably sold even lower because it was all old junk. But I started thinking about how to answer this question, and it starts by year, right? This might be a good mechanism for everybody that is of a certain age like I am, over 50. 1953, Studebaker, 54, 55, I didn't have anything. 1956, I had a 56 Chevy for a hot minute that I had down at the School of Automotive Machinists, and I built an engine for it prior to going down to the school. And I raced it on Rankin Road down there, and I had fond memories of that car. My friend now has it. And then you go from 56, 57, 58, 9, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, nothing really in there. 67 was the love of my life, which was the 67 Camaro RS that my friend owned. I bought it when he was kind of like at his end with it. And I worked on it, and it got stolen. I know that this is another question, but actually got stolen out of the Weisco parking lot in 2001. They'd been casing it. Yeah, it was my daily driver. Daily driver. It was the day after Christmas. I drove the thing in the snow with 375 horsepower at the wheels, and all of it's fun. But yeah, and it just goes on from there. Mustangs, and I'm not necessarily a fan of like GM necessarily, but it just seems to be most of what I've ever owned because it was cheap to go fast.
Yeah. Well, that's why you like LS too.
Yeah, it's a strange thing down at, I was at Detroit Speed for that little minute down there, and we had thousands of people calling with 69 Camaros. It's like, what kind of engine you got? Oh, it's an LS with a 6-speed. What kind of engine you got? LS with a 6-speed. And I think the coolest, there were 2 very memorable ones. One was a soccer player in Europe that wanted a big block 68 Camaro. And so I'm like, okay, he's going to be driving this thing on the Autobahn, right? So what do we build him? 582. So we built him a 582 for that thing. And just to hear 582 inches in Europe, think about that. They're not used to anything with displacement, right? Yeah. So that was one cool one. But on the other side of the spectrum was a guy with a 355 and a Muncie 4-speed, M21 or something, right? And he goes, we kind of just asked a question. So what he got in? 355. And we're like, whoa, what? Not a 383. No, 355. Pink rods, 355, 4-speed. And we're like, you're the coolest dude ever.
Yeah.
Right?
How fun.
Right. So I'm not saying I'm LS'd out at all, but I am trying to bring back all of these technologies that we've learned with LS and apply it to these older engines. And we have. Mm-hmm. So Pro LS was first in 2018. That was really the first cam rollout that we did. But then we've been able to apply those same technologies really to Pro SBC, the small blocks with LS firing order, Pro BBCs, also some with, LS firing order, Pro SBF, also with LS firing order. I won't even go into that, right? The Windsor deal, right? Yeah, right. You know where I'm going with that, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
it's too small block forward. What?
Yeah, Windsor firing order. Imagine that. Yeah, they've had it all along. But yeah, it's cool to get to do this. And then I got to go back to my roots at the same time with the Pro LS piston lineup, along with my friends, that made some really great rods and cranks that I'd grown to trust over 20 years, so that when I introduced these things as Summit parts, I already had 15, 20 years of experience with these parts. So it wasn't a big leap, but it was also possible for me to, because it was all brand new, I got to just do it the way I wanted to do it now instead of the way that I did it back then. So yeah, it's been cool. And, well, we could talk about these blocks a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to do that here in just a minute for sure. Because I want to get nerdy with you on
okay, go ahead. Yeah.
The one last question, because I thought this was really cool because of all the stuff you've done in the past. But what's one what's one bucket list car that you'd want to build one day? And I had never even heard of this thing. I knew what it was when I saw it, but I didn't even know what this was. So tell us what this thing is.
All right. So Lola T70, British car, but with a big block engine. So if you remember the ZL1s, all aluminum big blocks, Hillborn injected, these things were making, Traco built big blocks. Roger Penske was racing these cars. Mark Donohue was racing these cars. Can-Am, back in the late 60s with the McLarens and the Lolas, and some of the other makes and models, Trans Am was it, man. It was unlimited. And, to have that thundering big block with the Hewlin out back, straight cut gears. I've got a friend that actually owns one of the McLarens right now. But yeah, I think I'd like to build one of these at some point in the future. But, so here's the thing. That 02 Corvette, concentrate. If I stick with that old girl, it's kind of like a pair of old shoes or an old belt, right?
Yeah.
It's like, if I just stick with this car, we can go faster together. It's always a science experiment to me. So it's not changing for the sake of change, really. I just think it's a beautiful car to build someday, a new experience.
Right. Oh, I agree. That car is super cool. Well, let me do a quick ad read for DeechWorks, and then we're going to talk about your work with Summit and kind of how everything you were going over there. We're just going to dive in and be a little bit nerdy. So let me pull it up. Big shout out to Ryan and the team at Perform a Bit. We appreciate everything they do for us, man. They have put a 4L60 in the sevens. I think that's all you got to say about these guys and how awesome they are. GM performance specialist for sure. GM transmission specialist for sure. DeechWorks is a leading manufacturer of high-performance fuel system components. The DW product line includes fuel injectors, pumps, rails, regulators, filters, lines, and fittings, plus pump modules and surge tanks, all engineered to support power levels ranging from 400 to 4,000 horsepower. With a focus on engineering excellence and industry-leading customer support, DeechWorks continues to drive the future of high-performance fueling. And just like our friends over at Driven Racing Oil, DDR10 at DeechWorks.com. Get you 10% off of your purchase over there. And again, I just listed all the cool stuff that they've got. They will be at the circuit as well. They are bringing two cars. The 850 competitor of Mark Campbell is going to be a fun one to watch, but also the car I'm going to climb all over and touch every inch of is the 4G63 powered Volvo Amazon, 8.8 rear end, 5-speed transmission. This car is going to be a blast. It's owned by David Deech, the founder of DeechWorks. So it's going to be kind of cool hanging out with that entire team during that, sponsoring the racer party, bringing two cars and bringing some support staff. So we appreciate them and all they do for us. All right, let's this is kind of fun. I think this is going to be really interesting for a lot of the people that are watching this and kind of have followed. I mean, there's a lot of people that know who you are. Obviously, you've done a lot of work in the community, but I want to I just want to go. I mean, I guess we just dive into this now. Like, what is the question I have here is, what do you do now? But I want you to expand on that. Like, what does that mean? You know, when you say like Summit R&D, what's that mean?
Yeah. Okay. So I guess really when I joined Summit, the private label, private brand group had been functioning very nicely for many years. And a lot of these products that we sold up until that point were, I'd say, parts that were, made for us by a lot of different vendors that, they sell already through Summit on the branded side. And they're like, hey, do you guys want a blue version of this? Right. And it's like, yeah, sure. So we did it, and we were able to, do wonders with pricing through the volume and everything, and keep parts in stock. That's the key. But when I arrived in 2018, Al Nui wanted engineered products, because that's what I did for Wiseco. So I'm not an engineer. I'll tell you, I have not graduated college. I haven't. I have a ton of great friends that are engineers and masters at their craft and have been doing this entire time. So I'm not like a phone call guy, but I like to have a lot of fun. And so I call these guys up anytime something pops into my head, and I'm like, you want to do something fun? And they're like, okay, what do you want to do? Here's my harebrained scheme. Let's go do this. Let's go big. And I think the education's part of it, and I'll get into that because it's really key, but I don't believe in just making a onesie, twosie, threesie of something, right? You never gain a presence. You're not going to be remembered for something like that. You got to go big. So I create lineups of things from small to big, very different variants of it, but product lines. So Pro LS pistons would be an example of a 88 awesome LS pistons. And then, Pro LS cams, they started off with 15, we're up over 50 now, and then got another 25 solid rollers that just hit back in December. We're up to, yeah, it's crazy. So on the cam side of things, another little aside. So I could have worked for Comp Cams in 1999. In fact, the job offer I was
me and you
told
probably we would have almost chewed some of the same dirt.
It was so crazy. Yeah, so it was crazy because I got a job offer from those guys, and it's still open. I was told back in '99. I interviewed with Billy Godbold. I interviewed with Paul and Ron, and I almost went over there to manage Zex Nitrous, if you guys remember.
Yep.
And so I've always been like this huge cam guy. And again, working with my friend Eric here locally at Backstreet Performance, all these years I'd go over to the chassis dyno and just see all these combinations, what was running, what was good, what wasn't good. And I started building this master spreadsheet of like all these cams and drilling down into the valve events. And then that is something where I feel like there's some people out there that are really good about showing people valve event driven cams. Steve over, just retired from Cam Motion. He was big into valve event driven things. Now he's got the camshaft school, right? So he and I have been trying to educate, force, really get people thinking about cams in terms of the valve events, driving, duration, LSA, and advance, not the other way around. So by tweaking each one of those 4 events, and then, things end up a little bit wonky looking, with the durations, LSA, and advance, but they're right, and they're pure. It's a weird word to use, but okay, so think about this. So say you have a cam and you make one change to it, you add 1 degree of advance. You've actually changed 4 valve events. Did you help 3 and hurt 1? Same thing happens with LSA. You change it 1 degree, or you change exhaust duration 1 degree. You do one little thing, it actually changes 4 things, but when you do each one of those events separately, it is what it is. So that has been key to my cam lineups, is they're all incremental. And a big shout out to the guys over at Comp, who I grew up with their, their Comp Cams 268s in the 70s, and the 280s and the 292s, right? I'm a huge fan of 70s and 80s cam grinders. Iski, obviously, that just passed. just huge fan of those guys and all their work. But our cam lineup is the first where we show the valve events very clearly in these digital spreadsheets, so people can really dial in what they want. And if they look at them, they're all very incremental. It's not black magic. We got rid of the black magic because that's been how cams have been sold for way too long, is black magic. I don't believe in it. So I want to just show people, like, here's what we've got. And
that's interesting.
It is. And it's like the only way for Summit, I think, to get anywhere really fast, because I mean, it takes a long time to develop a reputation, but if you just share what you learn, Spintron, dyno, educate people, right? It's kind of like it helps your credibility with people when you can just be like, hey, here's my experiment. I tried it. If you do this experiment, you're going to find the exact same things I did. And that's the fastest way.
That's awesome. So
that's Summit R&D for you in a nutshell. And, the education is a big part of it, right? So it's like, talking with the racers, when I was hanging out in the background earlier, I'm answering tech questions on Facebook in some of the groups, because I'm addicted to helping people. And, so that education is big, but I get to do these, like this deal with you today, talk about the parts, answer questions, do the videos, and those get out there on YouTube or used internally for training. So it's, that is Summit R&D, and it's really anything that kind of feels cool at the moment, and it can be really wide ranging.
That's awesome.
We're going to talk about some of that in a minute too.
Well, let's back up a little bit and give us a little bit of history with the company. What other jobs have you had with Summit?
Really only one. So when I got here was that tech writer position. Summit is notoriously hard to get into. They don't just hire people, they don't just be like, hey, Brian Nutter needs a job. It's not how it works. So I came in, as a tech writer. That was something that they needed at the time. I was working with a great team over here that they're like, you know what, our customers need help with this. Can you do this? I'm like, I can do this. So that was where one of the guys I work with, his name is Paul Spurlock. And he goes, you know that there's 46 different Gen 3 and Gen 4 LS engine codes? If you count every block, every head, every displacement, all this stuff, trucks, cars. I'm like, no kidding. So he goes, yeah, we got to write a spec article on every single one of them. So we did. We wrote 46. Yeah, it was crazy. Wow. So, and in fact, you mentioned David over there at Deechworks. He was one of the people that helped me when it came time to figure out what injectors, came in these engines, right? Mm-hmm. The flow ratings, part numbers if possible. So some of our good friends and partners here at Summit Racing helped me put together those spec guides. I did that until this private label, job opened up where I could do my thing. But what was great about it is I learned not only who our customers are, but also who my associates are, like what they did know and what they didn't know, and how I could help those folks, get up to speed too, so they could be, really good at their jobs.
So with your history with Wiseco, your history kind of around all that, one of the notes here we have is, Pro LS pistons, rods, cranks, the whole rotating assembly parts, like not just for LS, but for, I'm going to run through this lineup here: small block Chevrolet, like you did a minute ago, small block Ford, big block Chevrolet, LS. And then there's, you guys have Gen 3 Hemi as well, right?
Yeah. LT as well.
LT,
yeah, we're spreading the love around. So we've got the LS line, which has been, it's essentially modeled after my original design I did back at Wiseco. And it was the first of the 2 1/4 inch wrist pin strutted forgings, meaning that you could put a 4-inch stroke in it. And it used to be that pistons were full round and they'd come down at BDC and they'd be hitting the reluctor rings. He used to have to notch that stuff. And a Pro LS piston, we essentially used a 2 1/4 inch wrist pin, which was common in a Jack Roush cup engine at the time, was a 2 1/4 inch wrist pin. So I just took the idea of that 2 1/4 inch wrist pin and that strutted style forging. And then the real key thing I did with it was a cup style piston has to run at like 9 to 16 thousandths of clearance. Because of the structure on that piston, it can run at 4, 3.5, no problem. And it's still like way, way good out, well past 2,000 horsepower. So, you know, we upgrade the pins, you know, typically in that 12, 13, 1400 range, but it was just one of those parts that's so good and there wasn't any fat on it. And there's another line of pistons that I just got to create. It's really, really huge. It's called Pro LST, and it's something that I wanted to do since about 2012 or 13. There is a guy by the name of Kevin Kwiatkowski that works for Pratt Miller, and he has a Mitsubishi Eclipse, and he's known as Kigley Racing as his company. He's really good with transmissions, a high-level engineer. But he came to me when I was doing pistons with Wiseco for Sport Compact. I did LS, big block, quick 8, you know, the quick 16 and the quick 8s were some things I helped Vic Ellinger with at the time. Great dude. But the LST is if you ever take a look at a CTSV, like the LSA or the LS9 or an LT4, the connecting rods on them are actually shaped like they've got a taper from small, you know, from top to bottom. And he came to me and said, I want to do this on a billet piston. So we built it for him. And what he was able to do with that was apply the bearing area that the wrist pin needed and the bearing area that the pin bores needed within the piston. And when it doesn't need to be straight up and down, the loads they don't work that way. So when we actually tune that taper around the bearing area that we need, the rod becomes tapered and we get more bearing area out of a shorter wrist pin. The shorter wrist pin is stiffer, the shorter wrist pin is lighter, and with that, the entire piston, you know, gets a little bit shorter and stouter by itself too. So I couldn't do it when I was with Wiseco because we didn't own a connecting rod company at that time. Tom Molnar, a good friend of mine, you know, with Molnar Technologies, great friend, huge mentor when it came to connecting rod design. And, you know, we didn't get to the point where we did a lot of work around each other's work, and he helped me and I helped him. But we never did trapezoidal. And now that I happen to be in charge of rods and pistons, I got to do trapezoidal. So you'll see something called Trapezoidal Tech or Pro LST coming out real quick. And it's
interesting.
The first time it's ever been done in the aftermarket.
Oh man, this is going to be cool.
Yeah, it's neat stuff, you know, and it's just, you know, again, it's like, and a lot of it is partners, a lot of it is customers just having problems. And it's like, well, how do we solve this? So, you know, if it's weird to think about, I'm not saying where Summit was. Summit's always been a great company, but, you know, I think back in 2018, a lot of people wouldn't have really thought of it as a juggernaut in product development, but we are doing it now. They let me loose on the Spintron with a partner of mine over in Western Ohio that happens to own a Spintron, and my cam lobe designer. You'll get a kick out of this. My cam lobe designer, I'm not going to mention his name, but I will tell you that he needs 3 hands to wear all of his championship rings. And he's the guy that's designed my cam lobes for me since 2018. You know, I would be like, okay, I need this duration, I need this intensity, I need this lift. And he did the 8 decimal math for me. And we created all this stuff. And then when it just turns out, if you build 100 of something, you can price it right. So people don't know what they're getting with our parts, but they're really awesome.
Well, and I think this will be a fun story, but tell us, like, when, you know, R&D is part of like research and development. Research is finding the limits of fun stuff. What the heck happened to this?
I happened to this.
Rod? Yeah. What did you do?
Oh, well, you know, so here's the thing. You know, I'm not going to be shy about it. You know, you got to benchmark. There's a lot of people out there that will just say they got the best stuff, but they've never truly benchmarked all that stuff. And, you know, we've got a lot of great partners here within Summit Racing, all the connecting rod companies. Almost every one of them of note are customers of ours or vendors and partners of ours. So, other than the rods that are the Pro LS rods, which are, I think I can just tell you, I mean, it was the original K1 lineup. Those parts, when RWB exited the connecting rod business, they basically said, hey, we got to kill these rods. I'm like, no, we're not. So I rescued those really awesome connecting rod designs. I feel really good about that because those rods are just, they were beautiful. So many cool things about those rods. So I was able to keep those things in production. And, these other rods, if I wanted to make a new connecting rod, just say I wanted to make a connecting rod, I would kind of have to know what everybody's rod, how it performed. I'd have to know in compression, I'd have to know in tension, what it was capable of doing. If I wanted to call myself the best, or right up there amongst the best, I kind of need to know. And Summit is the kind of company where if I need to smash $15,000 worth of parts to learn, they give me $15,000 worth of parts to learn with,
Wow.
I mean, because, it's like, these aren't, you can't fail in the field. I mean, the $15,000 is a small price to pay to avoid failure. I mean, one thrown rod in an engine is an instant $25,000 or $40,000 engine, right? So it's like, spend the money, and you learn things. I mean, you can't help but learn these things. And the Spintron is the same way. I made some really big discoveries on the Spintron that, okay, so here's another one, right? The why Spintron's been around for a long time, but why haven't people really published data? Ben Strader has done a great job of showing the world, what's going on with valve train. He's quickly growing into a good friend, and I may get into that a little bit later. But by and large, you didn't learn what was going on the Spintron, and the reason why, it was inhabited by racers who were doing everything within their control to hide their leg up. I am in a different position now because I'm selling parts where I'm like, well, I could sell you this or I could sell you that, but here's why you probably would want this. And I'm not going to tell people what they want. I'm just going to present the data and let them make the decision. And, that's my goal with everything. It's like, you don't have to believe me. I can just share the data with you and you can go repeat my experiment and you probably are going to come up to the same conclusions I did about stuff. But yeah, that's been key. I can tell you on valve springs that I tested with an LS7 head with stainless valves, heavy stainless valve, 122 grams with a 1:8 rocker ratio. It's like the worst of all worlds. Right. And people think that valve train problems are an 8 or a 9 or a 10,000 RPM problem. I'm here to tell you that it's a 5,400 RPM problem. Bad things start really low. And if you've ever wondered why you have all these really expensive cylinder heads that flow 400 CFM and all this business, it's like, why is this thing not turning RPM? You don't hear it. I mean, if you hear valve float, you're already 500 RPM past when things started going south, right? So that's been another kick I've been on lately is I went on and worked with, maybe PAC, 20 Pacalloy valve springs. I guess you kind of have to say it. I mean, Pacalloy is their alloy, right? So I added 20 lightweight springs to our lineup, very high tech, and priced them right. And then matching other parts too, and then rockers. I mean, you guys have been seeing what's going on with rockers here over the last few years. Yeah. And there are some beautiful designs coming out. I wanted to be right there, to add these really cool rockers with our partners. I know who designs them. They're really good. I'm friends with them. And I'm like, we got to have that, so that we can have the cam and the spring and the rocker and, make a really good package for people.
Well, right. And then it becomes a package. It becomes, because I think that
a system. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what Eric and I run into, and Luke B at Howard's Cams is kind of our, our valve train stuff. And like, we call him and we go, hey, this is what somebody wants to do. Or, we make the introduction and then spend the next week listening to, watching their conversation back and forth on the group text, it's pretty interesting that once somebody can have an entire plan, it makes a huge difference on power and how they're managing it.
Yeah, Howard's, I mean, they do a great job. And I got to tell you, like, when I look at what they've done, we're officially in third place. I'm not a quantity guy, like, oh, we make X amount of cams. Howard's is bigger, Comp is bigger, in terms of SKU count, but Howard's does a really good job. And they've added designs. They've had these designs forever, really good ones. And my predicament happened really about 3 or 4 years ago with all these flat tappets going south. Your boys over at Driven with their oil, I'm using their LS30 oil right now in an engine build.
Oh, awesome.
It's like the trifecta of badness, right? You've got lifters, even if they're made in the USA, that aren't well finished. You don't trust the crowns. They may have dirt inside of them. You got oil that was kind of iffy, but more people know about it now. The cam cores, there's problems in a lot of cases, right? And then you couple that with the fact there's never been less people out there knowledgeable about what their spring pressures are, what their seat and open pressures are. They just buy stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, everybody's complaining about it, and nobody wants to have unhappy customers. The oil people, the cam people, like, nobody wants this stuff. So we all know that we have to get over the hump into hydraulic rollers. But then everybody has it in their heads like, oh, that's just $1,500. It's like, well, no, it isn't. So we added, here in this last quarter, we added LA, Chrysler, 318, 360s, 273s, Magnums, B&RB, FE Ford, 429, 460, the 385 series. So it's not just the Chevy, Ford, Chryslers that people kind of think that they know, but we got to give these guys a landing spot where when they eventually come to the conclusion that they need to go hydraulic roller, that will have, the cam and the lifters and the springs match package to rescue people, right? Yeah. These cams that I created are not the high lift Pro LS versions too, because those are all developed for, pretty racy applications. These are guys with the 318 that, it wasn't built, for high lift. So I knocked the lift. I mean, it kills me to build a cam with 515 lift, but like, I have to give them something.
515, dude, it's
hard.
It's so small.
I know, right? But at the same time, if a guy that, he just wants to go to the park or to the, the fair and drive his, 455 olds, right? He just wants it to make noise. And, he wants his iron heads, his original iron heads. It's like, okay, buddy, we're going to do what it takes to give you as modern a valve train as I can give you, probably a beehive spring, because we can, way better. And, just trying to give those guys a landing spot, so that they can, keep their dream, keep their baby. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, so I wouldn't be allowed to do that in any other company other than Summit Racing. I mean, the owner of this company, think about this, the original founder, 1968, obviously we've grown a lot since his early days, but he allows me and other people like me to, kind of run and support these markets and make the kind of investments that we need to. And those blocks are part of it too. I mean, that's, the idea that some of these engines, they haven't cast a new block since 1972 in some cases, right? So it's like, no, we're here to support them.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, walk us through some of that too. That's interesting. The block and all the new stuff, because we really got to put our hands on that at PRI quite a bit. You guys had several of the blocks there. Walk us through that. So German cast. Got to feel good to be Nebraska machined,
Yeah, so it's really cool. Like I was talking about my hometown of Kearney, Nebraska. Norris Marshall, he's a hometown boy, right? And he had this business. Even when I was growing up, it was a pretty sizable engine rebuilding business. And then he got into doing more performance oriented builds, with Blueprint. And, it's a partnership, right? It's to do big things costs a lot of money. And, I'm proud to say that, we saw, what needed to happen to support all the racers out there who need the basic building block to keep building engines for the next 30 years. So yeah, if you drive a Chevy truck, there's a pretty good chance that the foundry that casts that block is the foundry that casts our block. They'll have a lot in common. And then, we're, small block Chevy was first, LS, small block Ford about the same time as LS, and big block Chevy. And we've got variants coming through right now, but our goal is, essentially be able to support, it's not just the end user and the racer, but it's also, the machinists and engine builders, which, are we a competitor? I guess maybe sort of, but, we all need the building blocks for us to survive the next 2-3 decades and, keep building. That's the whole point.
Well, I think one cool thing is as companies are willing to invest in people that will take that time and make those engineering moves and do that kind of stuff, it increases the whole sport. I mean, anytime nerds are into cars, man, it's awesome.
Absolutely, man. It's great. And to think again, I see what a small block Ford can do, or a small block Chevy. It's like they've always been great, but I love to see the fact that people have stuck with them and are going head to head with LS. I mean, some of the baddest, heads out right now are not LS. They are small block Chevy, small block Ford, based heads, big block Ford based heads. So we've taken, I guess, what we've learned from right sizing, the rockers and especially the valve springs. It's not about more pressure. It's not about more springs. It's about lighter springs, greater rate, lighter valves. I mean, we're going the opposite direction from where most people think you needed to go.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is we have less wear. We don't break things because we're not trying to run, 170 gram springs at 8,500 RPM, right?
Yeah.
We're not doing it.
Yeah, used to it needed to be tougher, harder, and then it was like, you get to a point where it's too much weight, and then it just can't handle it. And
right.
Now we're going the right direction. It's pretty cool.
Well,
man.
And with like
awesome.
Luke B and any of those guys, they know this stuff too. And one of the things about the School of Automotive Machinists they taught me is if you can just kind of latch on, to those guys, that are willing to share with you, you can be pretty successful if you just learn who to listen to. That's a big one. In this world that we live in with the internet and AI, I had to tell a guy an hour ago. He goes, I'm looking at one of your cams, and apparently this is like the biggest thing that I can run without having piston to valve clearance issues, and it's a 212 at 50 cam. And I'm like, nah, you can go quite a bit bigger than that. You could go up to this cam. And he goes, and his next thing was a screenshot of AI telling him he can't run this cam. And I had to reply back to the young man. It's like, AI has never built an engine, man, and so that's the world that we're living in right now. But think about that. He effectively would have been running a cam 20 degrees smaller than he needed to. It's like my dad putting 0 degrees of timing in something, right? It's like, because he was, listening to the wrong sources, right? And that's one of the things about Summit is when I joined this company, I got to tell this story. I walked into this floor here, right? And it was a sea of gray hair. And I'm like, I could have a long career here. This is a bunch of old guys, in their 50s and their 60s that they want to talk.
Tommy Dupree was one of the first guys you saw. I get it.
Yeah, well, he was a young man back then, right? But no, I'm just saying, like, if you've got wisdom and you are cool sharing it with people, you've got a job here, right? You've got something that a younger kid just doesn't have, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, this is a pretty good place, for me to, maybe live out my years, right? So
spend
kind of a
some
neat
time.
story. Yeah, right.
That's awesome.
Sorry, Tommy. I love you, buddy.
Well, we've talked about blocks. We've talked about cams. Tell us a little bit about the precision cast cylinder head lineup that you guys have.
Yeah, so that's an interesting one too. TrickFlow is. I'm not going to use the word subsidiary. I'm going to use the word it's a sister company, right? Brother company, whatever you want to use. So TrickFlow is about 5 miles down the street, and it's manned by guys that really know their stuff. And so we've always carried their stuff, and it's good. We carry Brodix and Dart and AFR and several others as well. But I've been watching the influx of China castings now for a long time. And the fact is a lot of these castings are really, really good. We saw it during COVID that these foundries were essentially the old guys that knew how to cast stuff, went home and retired. They didn't come back after COVID, right? So it's a pretty bad deal if you needed castings here in the US. And these castings from China were looking really good. They are precision cast, right? They are very good. Now, my problem with them is anybody that does cylinder head work knows that, if you drop a valve seat, you're done, right? That thing that you just took out that guy's $25,000 motor, and it's kind of the same for guides. And I saw a lot of companies making mistakes with, dropping seats and locking up valves and bad things happening. So it was a long, long time before I would even think about putting the Summit name on a China casting head. And we had the TrickFlow, so we were all American there. But at the same time, not everybody, let's face it, they don't have the budget for that stuff. Another whole story, right? But I wasn't willing to deal with something where it was the seats and guides were done in China. That was below what I was willing to do. So I found a US vendor here in the States that does that work to those China castings, and they're a very trusted, good name. And I'm like, okay, I can work with you guys. And so we created the precision cast lineup here a few years ago, and that was kind of like our baseline. We've got some other cool stuff in the works right now on heads. Again, not saying anybody's really doing it wrong on heads, but I don't think the latest technologies have been applied to those heads. So I'm going to be doing different things with the Summit lineup of heads that have just never been done before. We're going to do it our way, and I think it's the better way, and I'm going to give people data and they can make their choice. So that's kind of what our program is looking like there.
That's awesome.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
And then, so the last one here, let's talk a little bit about the turbos that you guys have.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a tough one. When we built, that is such a crazy deal with turbos. So I think Varen over at VS has done a great job. Like, he's one of our top selling companies here at Summit Racing for turbos. And, I think he did very well with his turbos, because if you had an oiler, he took care of it. If there was something, that just went wrong, whether it was his fault, his turbo's fault or not, he took care of the customer. And so we added his turbos a few years back. And in fact, I used some of his, were they 6462s, 6662s on Project 1000, one of our 408s that we built. And then there's a good friend of mine up in Canada that builds what I'd consider the opposite end of the turbo spectrum, with some boutique turbos that are just hellaciously powerful. They're more expensive because they're made in Canada. And that's our 2700 series turbos. And they're bad dudes. But I don't think I've ever entered a market where people are more, I'm not saying loyal to a company based on just black magic, but that's what a lot of it is. I'll be honest with you. Like, there's a lot of companies
one of
that
their
have
favorite racers ran whatever, and they want to run that.
Yeah, man, and it's rough. So I don't think that Summit, without doing creating compressor maps, is really able to compete at that level But we do have the 2700 series stuff, and we do have the 2600 series stuff. You know, whatever floats your boat, we've got it. One of the cool things that we have been able to do, and I think it's where we're going to do probably best, is with these bolt-in turbos on modern cars, because like 30-40% of all these cars coming off the production, F-150s, any number of cars, they all got tiny turbos on them, and those ones are really easy to make changes to. There's some fun things you can do with turbos that that the computer will still feed more horsepower without really knowing it's feeding more horsepower. So there's some cool areas in there, especially with manifolding too, with the stainless cast manifolds that we do. Very high quality, they don't crack. Super tough, well shaped. We've got engineers that design that stuff from scratch, solid models, so it all fits. And I think that the bolt-in turbos are a place where you're going to see more of our turbos, like for EcoBoost, et cetera, here in the next few years. Again, shout out to my friends up in Canada that make those really awesome parts of theirs.
Right.
It's all over the place. Yeah.
Well, and think about, I'm 45. And so as I was graduating, we were just kind of getting into like the rise of turbo 4-cylinder stuff. Like all of that really was hitting a stride for a guy from Arkansas right now. I'm sure the East Coast stuff is way different, but or Chicago, like from where Eric's from. I know a lot of guys were running fast stuff back then, but we're seeing a lot of that come back now, because you can take I'm sure some of these late model Hondas are factory turbocharged. They are a 2-liter. They have, and so you can take that little car and you can make 400 or 500 horsepower just with a simple, like, you don't have to add a complete turbo kit to it now. You could actually just replace the turbo that's on it.
Yeah.
With factory style bolt-up deal.
The only problem is they're all 5,000 pounds nowadays. Have you noticed?
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. I guess
can we get an EX hatchback, please?
It's crazy. One of the coolest things, and we talked about backdating technology, right? Is being able to apply, turbos, to old school small block and big block Chevy, Ford, Chrysler, right? And now we have the injection to keep people safe. Relatively, I'm going to use self-tuning, right? Which is, whatever. But I am really excited about all these guys that don't really know what their engines are capable of doing. I mean, they've got more head bolts per cylinder than an LS, right? So game on.
Yeah. And Jay Wire here saying direct injection has changed the game in a lot of ways on the newer stuff as well.
Yeah. That was one of my other things that I got to do at Wiseco. I was the first guy to do direct injection aftermarket pistons, the LNF, Mazda Dizzy, the LT1, working with Greg Banish up there. I mean, talk about wild times. I mean, we were working with diesel injector specialists at that point, which they knew the spray pattern of these injectors. And I was also working with Ford Scientific Research up at Ford with doing pistons for them. And I'm like, what is this technology? And they're like, well, it's coming. It's called direct injection. It's like a diesel, except for we're running gas. And then I thought, man, this is out 10 or 15 years. It's like, no, it's like 3 years in the future.
Yeah.
This is fun. So the factory manufacturing manager up at Wiseco, he sees the topography, and I'm going to use that word. It's the hills and the valleys are all nice and smooth, which is great if you do 3D milling. It's great if you have a cast piston, but none of those things run through a factory very quick, forged. So we were the first to use form tools on, big shelf stocking pistons like the LNF and the Dizzy, and then the LT1 to create pistons for those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. We've had a couple of the guys on from Mali to talk about some of that stuff.
Yeah, man, they are great.
Just the way that those, again, I love when nerds get involved with hot rods, man. It's awesome. Man.
Yeah. They do a heck of a piston for sure. Yeah.
Oh, well, we're finally, I feel like as a motorsport, we're finally at a point now where it's not hot rodders that are trying to get somebody to build something for them and creating their own business. It's like, full engineering teams are, attacking that kind of stuff, which is I mean, that's always super cool. Okay. We're a little over, but we've got more stuff to talk about. So I want to do one more ad read, and then I want to talk about a little bit of the summit history and all that kind of stuff. But I did want to show a shot of the project.
Project 1000, yeah.
Yeah, Project 1000. So tell us what this was, and then we'll go into the last segment of the show.
So this engine was all Summit stuff, just a 6-liter block we took down to the local machine shop here, some trick flow 220s. It had my Pro LS rotating assembly inside. Boy, this engine was interesting for me because I got to take everything that I did not have. Like when I had my recipe of parts all up in there in Excel and I tried to go build this engine, I'm missing this, I'm missing that. It's like, why don't I have these things? So it was really an experiment in, making sure we had all the stuff to fab with, especially, I mean, we added a ton of fab stuff lately, really high quality, by the way, to be able to build systems. I'll put it up against anybody's stuff. So this was just, I mean, it made 1,200 horsepower with a 6662. It was really capped off. Anybody that knows engines know that that is not a great turbo to run. And it wasn't the fault of the turbo. It was my fault because I told my bosses that I just needed to make 1,200 horsepower. I didn't ask for 17, essentially. So I told them I wanted 12, and my buddy Josh Cook over at TrickFlow, who that's their dyno. They got 2 dynos over at TrickFlow, and they do a ton of validation work. I think, and I'll make this statement, I think they burn more fuel doing validation work than anybody in the aftermarket manufacturing industry. I mean, yeah, there's probably cup teams out there burning more fuel, but TFS does a ton. So he saw that I had some 67s on it, or maybe even 76s. He goes, that's way more turbo than you need. I'm like, maybe, So it was funny. So that thing, I think right around 29 pounds. I mean, it was kind of capped out at 26 pounds, 27, 28, 29. And you could see the pipes there glowing red hot. But we learned a lot. Oh yeah, man. And it was fun. So, guys like Matt Happel, we were talking with him and it was just a fun project. The engine still exists, but we're doing other variants of it. It's cool because these engines for like Pat Topolinsky and Frankie Foreman over at Engine Power, Gleamy over at Hot Rod Magazine. Now that we got the blocks, now we've got the rotating assemblies, now we got the heads and the valve train. Our goal is essentially to go ahead and twin turbo the world, man, and like get some stupid big numbers out of relatively inexpensive parts. I mean, we know what an LS can do, even stock bottom end, right? So once we get people out of their comfort zone, I think we're going to be seeing some big numbers with relatively low cost and low priced, components.
That's awesome. Yeah. Right. So I don't know if you know this or not, but Eric is putting together a twin turbo drag and drive Fox body notchback car, and our goal with it, I mean, it's already Eric, what turbos do you GT45 turbos, right? So we have twins, or he has twins for that. Have the block we talked about earlier, pistons and Howard's cam, valve train, all that kind of stuff. And so
nice.
Our goal with it is to make enough for him to competitively run in some 10.0 stuff, because we feel like that is the
average.
That is what we can, and it's the best way to bring people in to see how competitive that 10.0 can be.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, his car's already caged for an 850 deal and stuff. So, the fun build goes from, let's run 10.0s competitively. That'll take a season to get ironed out. And then
and you got the Mala power packs
you can go to.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good piston. I mean, if you want, I'd have zero issues pushing those pistons out, 10, 11, 1,200 horsepower, no problems.
Yeah. And with the weight of that car, we feel like 850s is capable, but let's get this 10.0 thing locked up.
Yeah, I get it. Well,
a few upgrades, and then we're going.
Yeah, man. So my tagline on Facebook is making all of your bad ideas come true.
Right.
Perfect. Yeah, I love that. Okay, let me do this ad read, but I didn't want to miss that Project 1000. So again, thanks to Works for all the cool stuff they do with us and for the community. I mean, these guys are involved in so much you can't even imagine. And you can generally find Mark Campbell or one of the tech guys in some comments that we're talking about with people asking questions on the Race Car Friends Facebook group and all that stuff. So AFCO Racing Products, you guys know we love Eric Saffel and Rex over at AFCO, but racers know when you want performance that wins, you want AFCO. From shocks and suspension to cooling brakes and more, AFCO Racing has been helping teams go faster for over 30 years. Built by racers for racers. Check out the AFCO Advantage and follow them today on social media for the latest in performance parts. AFCO Racing, built to win. So in this segment here, I want to talk about I want to get your rundown on the future of the sport and kind of how, again, your opinion, how Summit is kind of pushing that forward. How with what you do, with what like Tommy and Jim do, and all the other teams, how are you guys moving the goalpost?
I think what you're doing is really, really important. You're allowing people to enjoy their cars more. Let's face it, a lot of race cars, they are they're pulled out of a track, pulled out of the trailer at the track, and they're put back in the trailer, and they don't actually come back out of the trailer until they're back at the track again. You are helping people fall in love with their cars all over again. And, when you see how fast some of your competitors are going with old steel, old cars that are going tremendously fast, they're showing the world what you can do with this old car. And I think people are now looking at that 66 GTO, whatever, right? And they're like, maybe I could, right? So our goal is to give them the parts that they need to race with. There's a man here that works with me, and he's responsible for helping me, get on board here at Summit Racing. His name is Al Noe, and he does not like to talk about himself, but I am happy to do it for him, because he was one of the key people that was working, with SEMA and trying to work with the regulatory. I mean, let's face it, here it's been really could have gone a bad way. With regulations coming out of Washington, D.C., against the racers. They were this close to making it so you couldn't take a production car and turn it into a race car. They wanted it so people had to build a tube-free race car, and that just isn't happening in America, right? No. That was this close to happening. No. And Al Noe and some other guys here at Summit Racing, they were in there battling. And I got to say, thank God for those guys out there. So they don't want to tell the world or toot their horn about it, but I'll just say there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes to support our hobby. I do my part with the parts, right? But then you got, also the track sponsorships. This has been a big learning experience because, at when I was with Weisco, Vic Ellinger was really good about, supporting the racers, and I'd help the racers, but we never really sponsored any series or any sanctioning body or really any track. We didn't do contingencies. We just didn't have the manpower to do it. Summit is very, very different about that. So we don't sponsor individual racers much, but we do sponsor the series and the tracks to spread the love. And I don't think, in fact, I'll just say there's nobody that's even a close second when it comes to sponsoring, the racetracks where we all race, and trying to push legislation to make sure we can all, race well into the future.
Well, and so, Summit's involved in obviously this show, the news we do on Saturday mornings. They're our title sponsor for the circuit. Tommy and I talk quite a bit, and then you also do a lot of work with the Midwest Drag Racing Series, which you guys are the title sponsor. It's the Summit Racing Midwest Drag Race Series, Pro Mods, Funny Cars, Top and Top. All that kind of stuff there. And then you're also a big part of the Tulsa Raceway Park, which I'm a part of as well. So, I think that's one of the funnest things that I see. It's funny talking with Tommy and Jim at an event and then because they're regular dudes, right? They're
Yeah.
car guy dudes, like they're into drag and drive. They do it, they race,
Yeah.
they build cars, and then you go back home and you open up something and there's a race going on in some town you've never heard of, at some track that who knows how many, how long it's been, whatever. And Summit Racing is involved in that. And so it's
Yeah.
really cool to be included in some of the really cool stuff that you guys do.
No, it feels good. We wouldn't be here without the racers, right? And I don't know, you talk about race cars and stuff, open wheel cars, like I love a sprint car, don't get me wrong. IndyCar, kind of cool. I like production based cars. I am a blue collar guy. I like supporting blue collar racers. And I know a lot of our customers have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars wrapped up in their cars. But, my parts that I develop, I try to make those things at this super awesome high level, and then I price them kind of low, because that's what we do here at Summit, right?
I think that's the way it's supposed to work.
Yeah, thank you. Right. And I can get away with that here. I wasn't always able to get away with doing that, but I'm blessed to have a place here where they just understand competition. I'll put it this way, right? When you price something so high that it takes up most of a guy's paycheck, he can't even build an engine, right?
Yeah.
You're not even giving that guy a chance, right? So when you lower the pricing to the point where he can start building a project, he can swing it now, more people enter, right? And so you just make it up with volume.
Well, and that's where I was gonna go, is the volume side of it. And that's what you guys have. Like, listen, there's other companies that do what you guys do, but they don't do it like y'all do. They don't do it at the level or the volume that you guys do. And that, it's like anything. It's a bottle of water I'm sitting here drinking tonight as we get through this. Like, there's stores that can buy that bottle of water less expensive and sell it less expensive and still make a great deal, So
yeah, I could go on and on about the service here, right? There's nobody. I mean, let's face it. How many of us have built engines and we pull that part out of a box that we bought at Summit? Something doesn't quite fit. The part is pretty much as new, and we put it right back in the box and it goes back to Summit. I know I really shouldn't say that. I know I'm going to get in trouble for it, but we want you to succeed. And what I think is, we've got a bunch of really cool racers that are, buying our parts here, and they get it, right? It's like, they get the parts, they know they're legit. So that's something right now I got in a bad way. There's a lot of parts being sold out there on the market that are sold with genuine part numbers on them. And if you look way at the fine print at the bottom, it says a replacement for that part number. It's a replacement for a Delphi LS7 lifter. It ain't a Delphi LS7 lifter, and it gives a lot of really great parts a really bad name because it's just trash, and people don't know any better. It seems like there's always somebody out there that they're just shopping, right? And I guess I don't blame them. Everybody has to get burned once, right? But our goal is, we can buy all the legitimate, spark plugs, NGKs, Champion, a sensor, like any of that stuff. I got to tell you, like, we did I won't even mention their name because it gives Al Noe a ulcer if I mention their name. But when we have a problem with somebody selling parts that are not legitimate, they are gone. It is not worth, you see this name right there. I drive in underneath this sign every day. There's no one part that we sell that is ever worth faking. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, and the way that hammer came down when that happened, I was like, what? Eric and I even had a conversation like, dude, just a bosh.
It all happened within about 6 hours, and I was very proud of it. Not saying that, when it comes to the parts business, I had a recent item that ended up being really closely related to another item on the market, and I made an error and we pulled it. It wasn't the right way to be. I can't sleep at night, right? So we pulled it. Now, the better mousetrap, that is something that's American as American can be, is, you benchmark everything out there and you don't copy. You just find out, how do we make something better? I'm your guy. I will do that. And I think we're really good at that. But again, our goal is just, if you want some brand, great. We got it. If you want a Summit part, I'm your guy. So that's what we do.
Oh, cool. Vinny Barbone here. Yeah, Vinny Barbone saying Tommy Dupree, Brian Nutter, Mike Kostick, Al Noe, Justin Wiedemann, our boy Justin. We didn't talk about him earlier, and Alan are and the rest of the Summit Racing crew are amazing people.
I was.
Miller says Alan R is the best Alan.
we got some great guys. I'm looking at everybody going to the event here really quick, and I was up on the dyno with one of them. I'll just say he's Bob, and he drives a Ford that's powered by an LS, right? And he's up on the dyno and he's pushing it. And I was up there, and he was pushing harder and harder and harder, and we're there solving problems with him on the dyno, right? Wow. And I was just kind of giving him the blessing to, like, wick it up, man. You're good to go. These parts are not going to fail, and if they do, I'll make sure it's right. Yeah. We all have to take responsibility the minute that we start racing, right? For our decisions, but at the same time, we try to help.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that's really cool is that you guys are still owned by the founder, who understands your business and all of your projects. So I mean, that's incredible right there.
It's rare these days, to think about that. I will say, we had probably a reputation as a big box store, back, 10, 20 years ago or whatever it was, right? But, we're pretty hardcore into development, and I think we've done a good job with technology. The owner of this place, I got to say, like, there are car and racing enthusiasts, every department, sales and tech, obviously, right? But there's service, there's accounting, there's IT. I race with people in IT, and that's a whole other kind of racer right there, right? All through this building, you find these really great enthusiasts that all bring their little thing, geniuses in their own way, all throughout this company, and it's a neat place to work for that way.
That's awesome. I think we probably need to wrap up here pretty quick. Yeah. I appreciate it. It's getting a little rowdy out here. So I'd like to get in the house before we end up having some struggles, but it's been really fun tonight. Like, getting your perspective on a lot of stuff and some history and things like that. The question I would have before we do close, though, is if someone is building something, they're putting together a package, like if we were a blank slate, Eric had a bare block for the Fox body, how does somebody get in touch with someone there to kind of, I guess, go through their plans? Like, what's the purpose of the car? What you're going to do with it? What kind of power levels are you looking for? How do they get in touch with someone there? Because it's easy when we need to talk to somebody at, for a cam, or we need to talk to somebody about, pistons. We send them to those guys. But, how would they do that with Summit?
That is tough. Because again, I was mentioning, here I am on Facebook, right? I don't know very many companies that are at that level operating in these places where the racers are, quite like I do, or some of these other guys. So you can often find us in places like that. I know it sounds weird, but that's one place. You can obviously call in or read, some of the tech articles and videos that I've written. I try to make everything packaged, right? So everything has, here's your cam, well, here's your springs, and blah, 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 blah. You need, to assemble things. So that goes a long way too. Again, just, hey, thank you for the opportunity, and any suggestions. I mean, if I wasn't speaking to racers like I do every day, I'd be making horrid decisions. So I'm just saying, right? Yeah. So my only way to remain relevant in this life is to listen to racers every single day. And that's how I learn, right? So again, we're here to solve problems. So, if you can't get a hold of me, somebody can, figure it out. I'm not the only guy. There's a mountain of us, really great tech guys here at Summit.
That's awesome. And I think for everybody that's out there, like, have a plan going in. Like, that's why we're really focused on this 10-0 racing. Cause I mean, a car that weighs 3,100 pounds can probably do that with 600 horsepower. Like that Eric's setup should be able to easily breathe that without even leaning on it.
So yeah, the cool thing is, like, we're not here to spend your money in bad ways. We're here to help you go as fast as you can go with the parts that are good enough to do the job. There's fancy parts, but then there's parts that are just fine for what you got to go do. And that way you can go spend the money on more critical things. I don't want to see anybody have a failure due to something breaking. So spend your money correctly on things like valve springs, the things that can go catastrophic real quick. Please spend your money there. But hey, I'm fine with a stock LS crank with my rod and piston in it. We know what they can do, right? I'm not trying to sell you a crank. I'm here to help you be successful. And if I can do that, you can stay in the hobby longer, and eventually we'll just work in the long run, right?
Well, and the car won't be down as long. You won't take it out one time and tear a bunch of stuff up, and then
I was down for 4 years with my LS7.
Oh, yeah.
I did something horribly stupid, and that's another episode all in itself. But,
we'll have to do that. I think what would be fun is maybe next time you're on, we kind of maybe bring somebody on with maybe your son or maybe somebody else within the company, and we kind of down some of those fun tear up stuff stories, because now, like, we've got the hard stuff out of the way. We've introduced you to everybody. We've given you some time to talk, about your life and how Summit and how it all kind of combines. And now we can really have some fun and dig deep on the next time. Yeah.
Anything you guys want. I mean, again, I'm just very, very thankful that you gave us this opportunity to just talk about stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We love you guys. We should probably have you on every week, to be honest. All the stuff you guys do for us. We appreciate it a whole bunch. Okay. We're going to put you backstage. If you'll hang tight with us just a second, I'd like to shut the show down and then go over a few things. So
cool.
All right. Thanks again, Brian. I appreciate
you, everybody.
Thank you.
Dude, how fun.
Man, so awesome.
Does your brain feel expanded? Like, are
my problem tonight is as I'm getting ready to get my engine off and thinking about getting it back, it's like, okay, what do I need? What's this next thing I need? And tonight was really good hearing about the different things and products that they offer, and where things that I can use might be. Obviously I've got a ton of parts already, but what are those things that I am missing, and what's the right direction to go with that? So my brain's been spinning, thinking of all kinds of different things all night. So it's been awesome.
Yeah. What I think we need to do is probably create a page on the website and just kind of gather the stuff that you've got. You know what I mean? Like, we kind of keep a running diary, almost a history of that car and where we're at and where what the next step, what parts you've got. And, because as people begin to take a naturally aspirated 6-liter and then they want to do a turbo setup on it, how do they take that car from 12.0 competitive to 10.0 competitive, and then ultimately to 850 stuff. So pretty fun, man. Again, thanks to him for coming on and doing that with us. I appreciate that a whole bunch, and spending an hour and a half. I mean, he definitely didn't have to do that, and he's got to get ready and drive home and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to wrap this thing up, I will say Saturday, Mike Heston was in here earlier. I'll message him here in a few minutes and see if we can get that set up as the guest co-host for Saturday morning's Drag Drive Repeat News, presented by Summit Racing. And then next Wednesday night, we'll have Brandon Dollar on of Low Dollar Motorsports. We'll have Nick Reinhardt and Evan Yurkowitz on here to talk about their experience at Sick Week, and then also to talk about, really fast square body Novas. Kind of freaking awesome. So, all right, sir, I'll send us out.
All right. Once again, thank you to all of our race car friends that were in here making comments tonight. Awesome conversations, and appreciate each and every one of you guys. And again, 15 days, we'll get to see a bunch of our race car friends for the circuit at Tulsa Raceway Park. I can't wait. And then finally, again, all of these sponsors wouldn't be able to travel even to the circuit and do that. We can't do that without these companies. So again, if you need a contact person at any of these companies, we've got affiliate links, we've got discount codes, any of that, please reach out to us. Again, thank you to Summit Racing Equipment, Deechworks, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Howard's Cams, J-Wires Solution, AFCO Racing Products, Performabuilt Transmission, Car Chains 3D, Low Dollar Motorsports, Power Tube TV, and Racing Junk. And again, thank you, everybody. And I will see you guys on Wednesday, and you guys will see Mike on Saturday.
Yep. Mike and Mike in the morning.
See you guys
later.